I know I got that agenda the other day. Start seeing numbers. Actually, I got a name right here. I had to put down on my. It's a lot. Yeah. Corey's helping out a lot. It really has. Yeah.
So it's really not the,
That's what I did, I just wanted to.
if there's a presentation.
Yes, I got that written.
If it's gonna be a long meeting, it's usually. Where's the presentation?
Go right up.
Oh, what's your looking for? Is it right here? Oh. This is fine.
City council, you have a presentation, you got it.
Yeah.
So that's right here. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order since everybody's here. Dave has made it back in from the trip outside. All right, we're going to go ahead and call the order of the Seminole Airport Authority. Should we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Larry Church,
Here.
Trace Connor,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
Chris Hansen,
Here.
Scott Rossman,
Here.
John Kramer,
Here.
Jolene Doucette,
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
People over there.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
John Kramer, Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, and there's no petitions from the audience for the Seminole Airport Authority, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, moving on to the Seminole Gas Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
John Kramer,
Here.
Chris Hansen,
Here.
Jolene Doucette,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
Scott Rossman,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, and there are no appearances or petitions from the audience, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, moving on to the Seminole Utilities Authority. We have a roll call for this one, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen,
Here.
Trace Connor,
Here.
John Kramer,
Here.
Jolene Doucette,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Scott Rossman,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, no appearances from the audience for the Seminole Utilities Authority, we'll move on to, we're going to flip these on the agenda. We're going to do current business first, okay? So item 2, consideration and possible action to approve the addendum to the agreement with Miller Tippins to allow them to award bids for a pre-engineered building.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and then back to item 1, consideration and possible action to approve the low bid of $901,000, $891.35 for construction of the pre-engineered building housing the new Family Entertainment Center with the award to Alliance Steel for the pre-engineered building components and the award to Leonard Building Company for the erection of the building.
I just have a question, Steve. Or Mayor, sorry. Sorry. Steve, is this, are we in line with our timeline that we had discussed previously with this bid? Is it just, it's just part of the timeline that we had already looked at and approved, correct?
Yes, I believe that we are within a variant of where we projected. This is a little bit unusual, to just so you're transparent about this, is because we saw the tariffs coming, we sped this up to get the red iron under the under the wire.
Good.
So we really sped this up, and that's why you're seeing those agenda items like this flipped. We're just trying to get, there's no telling, at least 15%, maybe 25% savings by doing it quickly. So hopefully, there's your timeline. We are planning on having some dirt moving and breaking ground on the April 29. So we've got the bids are open. Some of them are, and you'll be authorizing more later.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying on top of that, because we don't need to spend any more than we have to.
That's
So
right.
we appreciate that.
That's all.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jim.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette. Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
You guys have a third page for this one? Not an adjournment. I just want to make sure I have all, there's not an adjournment at the bottom, that is all of
Yeah,
them, correct?
that's apparently not was omitted, so it would be a proper to move for adjournment. if it
Okay,
would be-
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, moving on to the Seminole Municipal Authority. Can we have a roll call for this one, Jay?
Dana Miller,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Chris Anson,
Here.
John Kramer,
Here.
Jolene Doucette,
Here.
Trace Connor,
Here.
Scott Rossman,
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette, Trace Connor,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe these signups are for the municipal authority, correct? It doesn't say on there, so I just want to make sure.
Yes.
These are in reference to the golf course, I'm assuming.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure so we can get those.
The ones I saw, yes.
Okay. If something's different, if I call your name, just let me know it's for city council agenda, and we'll move on. But with no items removed from the consent agenda, we're going to move on to the appearances and petitions from the audience. And I've got just a small list here, but I'm going to start with Jeff Griffin, let him go ahead and go first. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Tyler Gohagan?
Yep.
If you want to go up to the, yeah, go ahead and come up to the podium, please.
Yeah, so my name's Tyler Gohagan. I married a gal from Seminole, Jenna Gohagan, who doctor here in town. We moved here in 2019. I had great hesitations, but she assured me we're moving to a great community. Took a little convincing, but we nevertheless are here. We bought a house over in the Lakewood Addition behind Tractor Supply and lived close to the golf course. My wife's family, lifetime golfers. I decided I should probably figure it out and quickly became involved in the golf community here in Seminole. And over those years, I've seen our golf community grow exponentially. And then the tornado happened. We lost our greens, we lost our trees. And Jonathan Taylor came on board, helped us recover those greens with the help of the city council, generously offering to come alongside the course and help repair those. We have a unique opportunity where the management is stepping down, and we have a group that is coming before you tonight to offer a bid. And I can speak briefly. I won't be long. These three gentlemen all have very unique talents. We have a financial advisor plus some. We have an insurance agent plus some. Jonathan Taylor, who has been around this community for a long time. Brian and Dustin both chose to bring their business back to Seminole and invest in this community. John never left. He is a lifetimer Seminole chieftain, who wears it on his sleeve. I think we are well positioned with this group to do something special in this town. So I think we look. Some people look at the golf course as just a recreational activity, but it's more than that. So we started Thursday Night Scrambles 3 years ago. And we saw a small group, 20, 30 guys, and now routinely we have 60, 70, sometimes 80 guys that show up. Not just guys and gals. And it's something special. So it is a place where community leaders, business leaders come together and meet each other, throw ideas off each other, play some golf, have some fun, that sort of thing. But one thing that's unique is that I think these three guys are equipped to not only continue what is already happening, but to expand on that. So there are several things that, just in speaking with them, that they're going to improve upon. So the pro shop, tons of opportunity to improve upon that. Merchandise, hot food, that sort of thing, which will increase tax revenue ultimately. I believe these three guys will increase membership, which again helps the city. We've also seen an influx of tournaments since John has helped improve the course, and then the addition of Brian and Dustin is only going to help them. So I am proudly standing for these three guys and in support of those guys, and yeah, hope you'll consider those. So,
Thank you.
say again.
Can you ask them to stand up?
Yeah, Brian, Dustin, and John. Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything
Okay.
else?
Thank you.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. All right. Brad, you'll have to remind me of the time. Is it 3 minutes that we have each?
Just have to look at it up
Just
there.
making
It's
sure.
under 5 minutes.
Oh, it's 5, okay.
Yes.
I don't think we'll any of us go that long. I just want to make sure. Okay. Ronnie Williamson.
Careful.
Careful.
I promise you I haven't had anything to drink.
Yeah.
What's so awesome about this Jimmy's Austin Golf Course is I'll tell how old I am. When they went from 9-hole to 18-hole, I was on the water crew. 1976, maybe 7, you guys, I can't remember, it was sometime in there, when Big Jim and the city got together and knew they needed an 18-hole golf course for this area. And that was one of the best things we've ever done, and it was awesome. And tournaments we've had out there and things, you know, and I know Bobby real well, went to high school and college with him. Curtis and I played together and all that, and I think the last 20 years they've done a great job. I took over as the Seminole State golf coach 2 years ago. That's when he was talking about we just lost our greens, we were getting them back, you know, and doing recruiting. I had a recruit out here today and was telling them about, you know, how we got things turned around, how we lost our trees on 13 and some of the other holes and stuff, and how John and those guys were really working and making it a lot better. Give you a couple little stories. Number one, Seminole, Oklahoma, has bred an all-American golfer. He's sitting right back there, Carson Newman, and he went to nationals last year. It's a junior college, and I'm telling you, it's got people from all over the world. Internationals are big now and coming in America and playing college golf. And Carson went in there and finished 9th in the nation, and he put on a show, and it was awesome. It's some of the best days of my life in golf. Okay, as you can tell, I really love golf and I love working with young people. We were qualifying, story about John. When I first took over, we were qualifying. When you qualify, we had like 9 guys on our team. Well, when you go to a golf tournament, you only take the top 5. You know, you got 1 through 5 bag, okay? So those guys are wanting to do well, wanting to make the top 5. And John had just got through it, I don't know if you remember that, sanding the greens. And I didn't tell him we were coming out qualifying. When he found out, he called me. He said, Ronnie, what are you doing qualifying when I sanded these greens and stuff? I could have had that, blah, blah, just really let me have it, kind of. And I said, John, it's the same for everybody, from 1 to 9. He said, okay, but I would really appreciate it if you would let me know from now on when you qualify. Remember that, John? I didn't get mad. I thought, you know what? That guy's dedicated to this job. He wants this golf course to look good. And he wants us to have college tournaments. And he wants us to really turn it on. And that meant a lot to me. And I know John will do a great job. I know Brian's dad a lot better than I know him. Because like I said, I'm an older guy. And they're good people. And I think that turning it over from the guys we had to these 3 men, they have helped me. I went around the last couple of years. We've had a scramble golf tournament and stuff. They have supported me from day one, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate what they've done and will continue to do. And we will have one of the nicest golf courses around. I promise you that with these guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
All right, Brian McElvain.
Good evening. I'm Brian McElvain. I'm the head boys and girls golf coach here at Seminole High School. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the 3 gentlemen that just stood up. I've lived here my whole life, played golf up here for over 30 years. And I thought the course, you know, if you were here a couple years ago, you know, it was in pretty bad shape. If you've been out there lately, you know, it is looking great. It's in great shape now. I've had a chance to speak with them about some of the changes that they've got in store. The one that I find important to me, and I think is very imperative, is that we get people in here that encourage, not only encourage, but promote junior golf. And talking with these 3 gentlemen, they want to, I mean, if you've seen them out on the golf course, you've probably seen them with their kids out there with them. They want to start the First Tee program here, and to, you know, that is our future. So to get the younger kids, the younger generation more involved in golf would be a big thing, not just for the community, but for me as a coach at the high school. I would sure appreciate it, and I know that is in their interest. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for speaking. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on to current business. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve Crosslane invoice number 6 and draw funds in the amount of $2,618,934.01 for work completed at the Seminole Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jake.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jolene Doucette.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 2, consideration and possible action to approve Crosslane invoice number 7 and draw funds in the amount of $1,279,602.50 for work completed at the Seminole Wastewater Treatment Plant.
I'm assuming we got a month behind on these or something somewhere along the line? Why were there 2 this month?
It's a complicated question. The answer is no. We're not technically behind, but the fact that we only meet once a month, they're stacking. They're able to bill as soon as they get the work done and it is inspected. So that we're starting to stack these up.
And what percentage are we out there now? complete, you know?
We're probably in the 40% range.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jake.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 3, consideration and possible action to approve wall engineering invoice number 16 in the amount of $19,159.65 for work completed at the Seminole wastewater treatment plant. So just to reiterate, for our new ones, wall engineering or whoever, they have to go out and inspect the work that's done, so that's why you're followed by an invoice every time. So we have to pay them for what they do as well, but it seems rather expensive, but it's part of it, so.
Right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jake.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 4, consideration and possible action to approve the lease agreement with BDW Management Group in the amount of $150,000 annually for 60 months, subject to approval of the annual municipal budget and payable in monthly installments of $12,500.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
so there's one change on the agreement that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
Section 19, I've talked to John Taylor briefly before the meeting. We staffed this yesterday. It says the lessor, which is the city, shall be responsible for costs to repair, maintain, or replace the greens. And it should just be to replace the greens. The lessee will be
The repairs.
be obligated to actually do the maintenance on the greens,
Okay.
the routine maintenance. So we just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay.
But the city would replace any greens, and I think we've already done that, is that
Yes.
right?
Right.
This is kind of using the pre-existing, or the existing contract that we've had.
Okay, is everyone clear on that?
Mhm.
Got it. Okay.
So if I could just elaborate a little bit. So the budget that we currently have is $132,000 for the golf course. So this would be an increase, and as we're going into the budget discussions, I just want to be clear that we're talking about having an increase to our budget. So if you approve this tonight, that's automatically going on our capital improvement increase for next year, or approval for next year.
Okay. Good?
We're good.
Okay, just make sure you need to add anything else. I just want to say, I know these 3 gentlemen personally. I didn't know who was involved in it initially, but I will reiterate, you guys are top-notch guys. I mean, you'll do it well. I have no qualms about that. I mean, I have no interest in golf. With the 2 guys that play in my office, I can't be out of the office with them always gone too. So I will tell you that they are behind that 100%. One of the guys that works in my office, Brett, plays quite a bit, plays on the league. David plays as much as he can with his health conditions. You know, he's not just able to play a lot, but they will tell you that this is a good move. It's definitely a good thing, so.
Well, I prepared them. I told them that you guys would pepper them with questions, so I think they're ready to talk if you need them to.
Yeah.
I think the difference of the 150 to the 132, y'all said that there was gonna be hot food? Sure, yeah. Can you just give us an idea, like it's gonna be a cafe, or you're just
So
gonna
I'm
have like a
Dustin
hot
Jones,
box?
one of the members. So yeah, the golf course currently has an old kitchen. There's a hot grill in there, you know, the sinks. We think it has everything to be up to code, just needs to be remodeled. So we just wanna bring that back to life. I was never around when that was here. John, several of these guys in here have seen that, and it's just a nice addition.
Yeah, I love that idea,
So,
something other
yeah,
than
we
a bag
wanna,
of chips.
yeah, we have, like I said, there's a pro shop remodel is on there, you know, now you're just not able to buy just general consumable golf products from there. So we wanna offer that. There's that golf course, I don't know if you've been in the pro shop. It's pretty dated. It's real bleak. Nobody likes to hang out in there. It's not really the culture that we've cultivated. So we want to change that for sure. And that's a big capital expense for us.
Yeah, I definitely think that the difference, and I get that it is an increase, I think that the difference is gonna bring some revenue and more people in. It's gonna give us something else to use there.
It's additionally 3 to 5 more staff members too, is what our plan has on it. And we're gonna keep this current staff, which are all Seminole residents, and then, try to hire Seminole residents for those positions. And those will be inside the pro shop and then out on the street as well.
Something that I would prefer, if you guys can, is for the animal shelter, when that was taken back over by the city, we did have a presentation well after they got their feet wet. We're able to correct it, redecorate it, repaint it, whatever you needed done. If you guys will be so kind as to do that, so that take before pictures, take after pictures, so that we can see that. Dana's really big on wanting to see the differences, and I'm with her on that, because you want to see the improvements that you've done. And we'd rather have that public so that people can watch this back and say, oh, I've never even been in there, but look what they've done.
Yeah.
If you guys will at least, I know you will.
Yeah.
Just the type of people that you
Yeah,
are.
we'll absolutely document it. It's a phase for us. You don't want to shut the golf course down in the middle of
No.
summer when we take this over in
Yeah.
June 1. So that may be when it's tarp. We don't know that timeline,
Yeah.
but there are immediate changes happening day one.
Yeah,
So,
I don't doubt that, but thank you for
yes.
your willingness. Go ahead.
So we had discussed this when we were putting out the request for a proposal, and I don't think it made it in there. But again, going back to what Corey had just asked, if you could keep us updated on improvements and just kind of, what's going on. I'm excited. I don't play golf either. Never have, never will. Sorry. But I really do think that our constituents are interested in seeing improvements. So if those could, if you could come back, in 6 months or so and just say, hey, here's a few pictures, and I think our constituents would like to see that, because at the end of the day, that's their golf course.
Right.
So I would appreciate that.
I think that's very easily done. Like, we've had chats with Steve and Bryant throughout this deal about, reporting to you guys how things are going. Currently, there is no way to calculate how many rounds are played out there. And that's a strong metric for golf courses. So we're putting in a software, a system that will let us know that. It's gonna tell us members, it's gonna tell us out-of-town players, non-members, so we can report back to you, look, this is how many people are coming in from out of town.
I love that.
We're looking to really drive the regional growth. Ada they don't have a public 18-hole golf course. They have a 9-hole and they have a country club. There are only 14 public 18-hole golf courses in towns below 8,000 people. 4 of those are around Lake, 2 of them are around Lake Eufaula, 1 just shut down. 1 of them's a state park. So we have a gym here, an absolute gym. If you even go to Shawnee, you have 1 course, right? 2 are private, 1 is public. So that is a huge demographic for us. And we're just trying to capture that and just the out-of-town growth, because it just brings in tax revenue for us.
Yeah. Thank you for
And for
that.
my other businesses, right? I have businesses here, and so it's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Free drinks, is that what you're saying? Just kidding, though. You gotta make money, I know. All right, do you have any other, while he's here, does anybody else have any other questions, or?
And there's a little slideshow they have if you guys want to look at what we have.
You have it?
Driving range, yes, would you
You got a
like, you guys
slideshow?
can vote to
Oh.
make the old baseball field the driving range for us.
Hey, there you go.
Hey,
That's a
there you
good
go, Larry.
idea.
Larry
God.
perked up.
Oh, Larry,
You don't have to worry about Larry now, he's all live, he's all ears.
go ahead. If you want to do the
Yeah,
slideshow.
you guys kind of already got the introduction of who we all three are. The vision is to transform the golf course into a premier golf community, honors and fosters the legacy, and an inclusive golf experience. Like we talked about in Jaga, we've had 100 people show up on a Thursday night scramble. That is the culture that we want to take from the association to the golf course. So, expanding staff, like I told you before, 3 to 5 new hires. We're gonna be doing food service, we're increasing maintenance and operations. All that stuff's gonna have to be staffed. More play equals more maintenance. Retain the current hires and then try to hire local. That's the number one goal when we're hiring, is local. Better service, care, and course condition. The course is already on the up and up. You guys have heard that from several people here. And it's only gonna get better with the plans that we already have in place and the things that John are doing. The course is only gonna go up from here. like we talked about, the clubhouse renovation, it's gonna need a full remodel in there, and that is a big investment. I mean, you guys own the building, but we're making the improvements, so, you know, to bring that level of golf course experience, you gotta have food, you gotta have, you know, the amenities. You can't just have bottled water and peanut M&Ms. So that in lieu will increase the member satisfaction, which, you know, we have 40 members of our golf course, okay? That doesn't sound like a lot to me. I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you guys. The golf course that I grew up on playing is Okima, 9-hole. Number 7 is a runway for a crop duster. 56 members, okay? So that is improvement for us. There's nowhere to go but up for us. So we're gonna reopen the grill. Like I said, it's a sizable investment, but it's a better stay, more revenue. When we have tournaments come in, now we can provide those people with food. And now you're getting a different level of tournament, right? You're pulling people from Fire Lake that like those all-inclusive tournament packages. You're pulling people from Ada, all these other different locations. So the staffing, it's cooks and service and outside. We're raising the standard. Now the course didn't before, it has a spray plan. It has a plan for the spring, a plan for the fall. It's got a fertilizer plan, a full green plan that John has implemented with Champion, whom you guys bought the greens from. And he follows it to a T. I think the guy told him, stop calling me, you've got it, right? The greens, if you guys haven't been out there, they're immaculate. And what does that do? Beautification just equals more golfers, more people. If you guys don't know, the game of golf has absolutely exploded since 2020, right? Everybody got outside in COVID. And when people get the golf bug, they get it. I don't know how to explain it, but you get it. And every day I go to the golf course, I live in Lakewood with Tyler and Brian and a lot of these folks in here. And I take my son out there every night. He's 4, and I see new faces every day. I was out there literally before this meeting, and I saw 4 different people I've never seen before. So, and they're young, they're old, with kids, without kids. There's a lot of people showing up to our golf course, and a lot of people from Shawnee. So, and one, like McElvain talked about, a youth program. We do not have a youth golf program in this town. They don't have one in Shawnee. Unless you're a member of the country club, they'll have the first tee come around. But it's not a program. If we want to take kids to golf, you have to take them to Oklahoma City, or Henrietta has a golf program. So that's one thing we are looking at several options. You have the US Kids format, the first tee, or Project 36. Project 36 is something that I'm a little more interested in because it includes kids and any age of golfer that's just starting out. So we're gonna go back to that. We'll talk about the women's leagues. We have a lot of ladies out there, and I think they know about it, but they're redoing the red tees at the golf course now, which are the ladies and the senior tees, because the amount of ladies that we're getting out there is a lot. And we have,
Will it be easier?
yes, they'll be bigger and flatter. So,
Struggle with the
well, we
red.
have a lot of ladies in our association, and we're getting to that point where it's, there's going to be a lot out there, so we're going to incorporate something with that and do a couples night. So several golf courses that us 3 have been members of all have programs like that, and we just think that that's where we're really missing it. It costs nothing for us to do that, right? It's just put it together and get people involved. So collaboration with the schools, that's what the 2 coaches that you guys heard. I think John and I and Brian, we would love to host, a high regional state golf tournament here for the high school. And then why couldn't we host an 18-hole or a tournament for the college? If they're playing here and we have a school, we can host a golf tournament, right? Our golf course has the capability to play at that level. So that's, excuse me, the schools and the growth between us and them is something that we're really working towards. Because if you guys have been outside when we have a high school golf tournament here, well, all of those kids bring all their parents and they all come to town. So, and then they see everything. Tech and tourism, that's kind of what I was telling you about, Dana. We're going to have the ability to track all of the rounds played and give you guys all the data. We'll be able to tell you where they came from. And then the golf course doesn't have a website. You cannot Google Jimmy Austin Golf Course in Seminole. It won't. You'll take you to Norman. So we're going to make it. You guys, it's crazy the amount of people that ask John, myself, anybody who's out at the golf course, where's the clubhouse? It's not differentiated. So a Google listing, a website, bringing that course up, to have the ability to online book. If we get a golf course north of town here, like I've heard, that's a great opportunity for us, because when that one's full, you have a top 10 municipal golf course in your state ready to go, and we're ready for it. So that's just more with the visibility and the driving the regional traffic
That's good.
is Seminole, Ada, Shawnee, which includes towards the, so, kind of the recap, yes, we're seeking 150,000 for the year. We believe that that is very minimal what it's gonna take to operate this golf, or for us to manage this golf course at the level that we wanna do it. We appreciate where Bobby and Curtis and those guys have taken it, because this golf course is, it's nice, it's fun, and we're really excited to have it, but we're ready for the next chapter.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned Jaga, you guys know all about that, so I'm not gonna talk on that. If you guys have any questions.
Thanks for.
No, I just want, I mean, you know, obviously what I hear, Steve, is the 150,000 is, we're gonna have to find that, right, in
Just
the excess of it, okay,
The difference,
yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, and, you know, you all know this, I know everybody over here knows it. When we go into our budget sessions, it's really all of these competing, wants and needs come in, right? And so whenever we have to pull money from somewhere, that means that, you know, we created that as a priority. And so again, I would just like to just reiterate how I'm excited about this, that I really do feel like this is going to be a strong partnership, and I think that your proposal said it all. So I'm excited. I think the community's really excited, and I mean, I could not believe we didn't have a website. We have a website for that. So it's 2025. So thank you for that. And those numbers are really going to help when we get to report back to our constituents and say, this is how much it's improved, and have those numbers really are important.
Yeah, we get a year of baseline numbers, and like I said, we're gonna report to them. I think we talked about maybe monthly early on and go to quarterly, but just until the relationship is transitioned. But
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Motion to approve?
Second.
With the amendment?
With the amendment
With the amendment.
on the repairs. Okay. Roll call, please, Jake.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
One last thing before we move on. Adam, I apologize. You were on my list, and I was going, I don't think we're good with you guys, so.
I'll just stand up and say that you've heard everything, you already voted, but these are some of the three best fellows that I know, so
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item 5. Consideration and possible action to approve the ground lease with Seminole State College Educational Foundation for certain real property located within the boundaries of the Seminole Municipal Park, which is located adjacent to Jimmy Austin Golf Course and the former Oiler Park baseball field for the sum of $1 annually. So Steve, I want to ask that you give us just a little bit of history on this for the people, for our new council members that.
Absolutely. So this building hopefully is semi-familiar to you. It is up behind the Boomtown Playground, adjacent to the golf course. And they have moved their batting facility that used to be next to Oiler Park. They've moved that to the new sports complex out by the college. So this building is sitting vacant. And what we found is years ago, there were some handshake agreements between the city and the college foundation that essentially said, hey, you guys can use this piece of land here and just make it a batting facility. So they went out, raised the money to build the facility, but the land under the facility is owned by the city. So once it ceased to be a batting cage area, we're stuck because the city owns the land, but the college owns the building. So neither one of us really have major control. So we've been wrestling for several months over how do we get this rectified. The city council wants to have some say-so over what goes in their city park, especially since it's next to our golf course. So the this agreement that we've kind of come into, have Brad and Joe Vorndran from Shawnee, the foundation's attorney, have been pounding this out. And I think we just got a red line today, so Brad and I are over here scrambling, trying to figure out exactly some of the changes. Rather than what's in your packet, we've got a couple of other changes. But essentially, what they're asking for is a 10-year lease with 2 5-year renewals. Okay, excuse me, I stand corrected. That's 1 5-year renewal, a 10-year lease, 1 5-year renewal. And they want to be able to operate commercial business. Now, we've gone back, Sharon Emmett championed this. We've gone back and we've made conditional use permits allowable in public properties. So what will happen, and Sharon, you please check me. So what will happen is each time we get a new sublessor, that will come to the Planning Commission for a conditional use permit. So let's say someone wanted to do a liquor store or something in the commercial property. No, it's not going to get the conditional use permit. So as long as it stays, and I'm using general terms, Brad, help me.
Consistent with the operations.
Okay, consistent with the recreational purposes of the Seminole Municipal Park, golf course, and sporting complexes. So as long as what they operate out of that has to do with sporting, recreation, I think we're going to be fine. If there's a departure, a significant departure from that, I doubt that very seriously that they're going to get any conditional use permit. Did that cover everything that you wanted?
50% of anything sold is.
You're on. Help me.
So it just so you're aware, one of the things that you discussed was, we wanted this to be, or you wanted it to be a sales tax generating business if possible. So we put a provision in there, which they've agreed to, that any proposed tenant that occupies that building, of all the income that they would generate from that building, 50% of that has to be sales tax related to the city. So, in other words, they just couldn't come in there and do a service of some sort that wouldn't be taxable. So if they sold products, which is what we think they would do, it would be sales tax related, and the city would get their portion of it. All of the exterior of the building, the city retains the right. They just can't go in there and paint it camouflage or something like that. It has to be something that the aesthetic, aura of the building would have to be consistent with what we would want in the park. And then we would want that to be open. There's a provision in there that basically, we want everyone to be able to use the building in the community. It couldn't be just reserved for a select group of people, for $1, and only those people could use it. So it has to be open to the public. And then, if those conditions are materially breached, then the city would have the ability to go in and terminate that lease. So, there's a lot of checks and balances to keep the spirit and intent of the agreement alive, and what you want to do with the building. The main thing is, and I've never seen one of these before, but they've agreed to this, and that is that the Seminole State Educational Foundation, which is who you're dealing with, right? Not Seminole State College, the Seminole State Educational Foundation. Any proposed tenant that goes into that building will have to get approval, as Steve said, from the city. So you do have some control over, the type of business that would go in there. So that's something that you reserve as part of a contractual agreement. So you have that right. And I think it's fairly good. The red line agreements that came in today, I looked them over. I don't have any issues with them. I would encourage you, if you're considering passing the agreement, or agreeing to it and approving it, I don't have any problem with it. The main thing that was changed is we started out with, and this was our side, we just put an agreement together for a 5-year agreement with a 5-year renewal. They came back and said, we'd like to have a 10-year initial term, and then a 5-year renewal. And I'm assuming that's because of the kind of the upfront investment that they're wanting to do. So that's up to you, but that's the main thing that came in today. So I have no problem with you proving it or going back with a counter, whatever you decide to do.
Something you mentioned was that if there was a tenant in there that was not complying with what they're supposed to be doing, that we would terminate the lease. In all honesty, we're not terminating the lease, we would just pull the permit, right? I don't want to have any confrontation with someone that they lease to from our perspective. So I don't know if that's in there that we would terminate the lease, but I think I would just rather pull the permit and you no longer can operate, and they can handle that with whoever they leased it to,
So
correct?
So one of the things that they asked, this was in part of the red line agreement, was that we would give, if there was a material breach of the lease and that subtenant, that sublessee was not in compliance or doing something that we didn't think is in the spirit of the agreement, we would serve them notice and give them like 30 days to get in compliance. I think that's what it was. 30 days to get into compliance. If they didn't, then that's when, on my end, I would be recommending Steve or you guys to pull the permit, and we could even terminate the lease.
I just want to make sure there's no language in there that we are terminating a lease that we didn't initiate in the first place, because their lease is going to be with Seminole State College Educational Foundation, correct? Not with us.
That's right.
Okay, so, yeah, I was just making sure that language is in there correctly, so we didn't get.
I'm comfortable with it. That it's pretty tight.
Okay. That's all. Anybody else have any questions or
I do.
comments? Go ahead.
Brad, is there a reason why you said that you thought maybe it was because I guess their initial investment is gonna be bigger than what they thought, from 5 to 10?
Steve probably can answer it better than I can. In my opinion, 5 years, to me, that's a good enough period of time to determine if we're gonna have this, if something's gonna go. I think that there's some possibility. I think there's a couple of subtenants that they have in mind that I think it'll be fine if they choose to go that direction. 5 years with a 5-year renewal, I think is sufficient. And if it works, great, we can expand it. We can come in another year if they want to do some more, or later on before this is even up, and extend that if you choose to do so. But I really don't know why they came back with a counter of 10 and another 5-year renewal. It makes me a little nervous, to be honest with you, Steve, and we want the building to be utilized, we all do, but
Some of the
15 years.
lessors that they're talking to are going to make substantial investments if they are leased the building. So I think in many cases, they're talking about leasing equipment to put into that building. I don't know, let's take a golf simulator, for example, or something like that, maybe 12,000, and they have 14 golf simulators. Well, they've spent a lot of money and leased it over a 7 to 10-year span, and you've only given them a 5-year clock. So I think that is likely why they're trying to go to a 10-year first phase.
I guess my next question is, so this is the ground lease, right? So help me understand that. So we're just talking about, the city owns the land.
Yes,
Seminole State College Educational Foundation owns the building.
yes.
So, and they've been using the building and the land for how long? 20,
Before I
30
got here.
years?
Yeah.
And we never got any lease payments or anything for that. Okay. So if we said no today and we were not interested in that ground lease, we want to use it for something that we want to use it for, because we've had this discussion before, would they just take their building and go home? Or would they leave the building? Is there anything in there? And I apologize because I didn't read the agreement very well.
Yep. So
don't think we have any, we wouldn't have rights to use the building, so they would be in turn doing the same thing we're doing right now. We would
Right.
have to lease the building back from them.
So I feel like it's kind of like a standoff then, right? Like, they can't have the building without the land, and then we can't lease anything without something on the land.
Exactly.
So,
We're stuck, so,
What it boils down to me is, do we really want to operate another facility, another family entertainment center? Do we really want to come up with something else that we have to operate in that building? I don't know that I want to do that, just because of staffing, but, or there's no
Or-
telling what they would charge us.
or if there's another, anyone else who's interested in leasing that land. Have you ever come across anyone like very similar to these guys back here that would be interested and said, hey, I have some plans for that? Or is Seminole State College the only one who's done that?
I've had discussions, yes, specifically with the golf course, and, hey, we would love to see a steakhouse and golf simulators and things like that, have a back patio on it. So far, nobody's ready to jump at that. So I think at this point, the Seminole State College Foundation, Educational Foundation, is just trying to generate some revenue on an asset that's just sitting there rusting. There was some tornado damage to it, and it needs to be repaired. Otherwise, they're not going to spend any more money on it until they get a lease.
Is it appropriate, Mayor and Steve, to have the people who, we just agreed to lease the area that's right around it, what their, I don't know, since they're not elected, is it appropriate to get their input? I don't know, is that even necessary?
I don't
Is
know
that
what we can do on this
customary?
agenda either, can we? We can't ask that, but
What, I guess I don't understand the question.
she's asking
I
if.
think
we
she's
just
wanting to
agreed
hear
with
from them if they're interested under this agenda.
Or not necessarily interested, but maybe even the ability to weigh in on, I don't know, now that I'm saying it out loud, like what goes in there, whether it's complimentary or to what they're doing to the golf course, or if it goes counter to it. We don't want to, I don't know, and I don't know enough about golf to think of anything that goes counter to it, but,
Well, it will have to be something that complements the park, Boomtown, the golf course, the sporting, the fields, when they get going, if they do ever again. The whole park, this is something that, you kind of hold the keys to, but nobody can drive the car,
yeah.
so.
I think it's important, oh, sorry.
No, that's fine, but, yeah, we probably couldn't do that right now, just for the Open Meeting Act
Okay.
requirements, but,
And to be direct, we're not sure that this educational foundation isn't already talking to them.
Okay,
We're not a part of that discussion.
okay.
I think you are, the Educational Foundation, the people that are on that board are pretty privy, I hope, and I'm pretty sure to what's going on around town as far as sports is concerned. So, I think if one of their players that they're talking to doesn't come through, I have no doubt to my mind that those guys would do what they can to help them. I believe, you're talking about Danny Morgan, those people that are, they're pretty versed in what's going on, so hopefully that would come up. We can't guarantee that, but I would think that they're bright enough and smart enough to do that, contact them as well to help with coincide.
Okay.
Just my opinion, I don't know that, But
Okay, that's all I know.
Motion to approve.
do we need to make a motion with the changes that you redlined? or-
I think you need to tell me motion to approve with whatever term you would recommend.
Subject to final. Motion to approve with the agreement that they wanted to do, the 10-year.
The 10-year, 5-year renewal?
Yeah.
That's the only major change that we need to know, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you've got the motion.
Okay.
Chris got a second here. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 6, consideration and possible action to approve the annual 2.9% CPI increase from Central Disposal effective July 1, 2025, as per their contract clause.
When was their last increase?
Yearly.
Every year they had an increase?
Every year, they're entitled to the CPI increase in the contract.
What year did we do their contract? Thank you guys for coming, by the way. I know you guys are actually.
You're the tornado.
Yeah, 3 years, 3
So
years.
they're 3 years in. So
Yeah.
This is basically like a cost of
Is that
doing
right?
business increase. It's in the contract, it's an increase that we're on year 3.
Yeah, we're on year 3 of the 5-year lease, or the 5-year agreement.
It's part of the agreement that we agreed to.
The agreement that was previously agreed to is that each year for the 5 years, that there's an increase.
That they are able to go up the consumer price index, yes.
But this is the cap. They can't go above 2.9%, correct?
I don't remember that exactly, but the
Okay.
2.9 is this year's.
Just what they chose to do this year.
Right.
That's for the last 3 years?
Right, would you know that? 5, so they can go up to 5%, so they only went up to 2.9. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, they're allowed 5 and went up 2.9.
So roughly, does anybody remember what they went the last 2 years, what the increase was?
Brian, would you have that information on you? What they went up the last 2 years?
So they can go up to a 5%, but it's based on CPI as a nation or the United States. Last year, we went up 3.2, 2.9. We didn't have anything the first year. The contract stated they couldn't raise anything the first year, but they had the option every year after that for the next 4.
Okay,
Thank you.
so they didn't kill us with rate.
About 60%.
This is just a formality
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Roll call, please, Jay.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no other items on the Seminole Municipal Authority, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. Going to move on to the Seminole, regular meeting of the Seminole City Council. And we have again, thank you guys for coming, Dustin, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Roll call, please.
Trace Connor,
Here?
Dana Miller,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Scott Rossman,
Here.
Chris Anson,
Here.
Jolene Doucette,
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, we're going to go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Chris, if you'll do the prayer one more time, I appreciate it.
Move my chair out of the way.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, thank you for the city of Seminole and all those who call Seminole home. Thank you for those who have come before us to make it what it is today. We ask that you continue to bless our city and that you bless our discussions tonight. And borrowing part of the prayer from former council member Wantland, let us love one another, for you, God, our love. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Consideration and action of consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, we will move on to petitions and appearances from the audience. So, Mr. Jeff, our former mayor.
Well, follow protocol. My name's Jeff Griffin, I live on Union Street. Well, the guys left, but I wanted to tell them one of my goals is to be able to get back to playing golf. so I can enjoy the course. I know that's one of my big goals, but it's nice to see the involvement. My time didn't start yet, but it's nice to see the involvement of the young adults and their contributions to the city. So, and I just want to say one thing about the building for the college. I would hope that it wouldn't be anything they would bring in that would be, as somebody mentioned, counterintuitive to what they're trying to do, like they're selling sandwiches or whatever it is, that it would be competition against us. I think that would be a detriment to the growth that they want to achieve. But anyway, my main reason to be up here is I saw one of the items on the agenda is going to be discussing water, wastewater, and trash compensation for city officials. Since I'm no longer mayor or a council member, I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on it. You know, it's kind of odd when you're discussing something that may benefit yourself, because you're in an odd position. It's kind of like asking someone to brag on themselves. You know, it's just kind of uncomfortable for most of us to do that. One of the things I just wanted to kind of mention is, you know, I know how much time should go into preparing for the meetings each month, for talking to fellow council members, talking to citizens about issues, you know, spending your own money on your fuel, and then going to classes and doing other things that you do to continue to educate yourself. And, you know, that can add up to being quite a bit of money and time. You know, time is something that everybody's always fighting for. And so, you know, I really want to just say that with all those things that it takes, that if you're doing your job appropriately, you know, you're at expense. And I think that receiving water, sewer, and trash is a fair compensation for doing your job. I don't know what you guys are going to discuss and what the outcome is going to be, but I wanted to kind of speak on that on your behalf because, like I said, it's always kind of uncomfortable. But now that I'm just a citizen, I felt like it was only fair that I come up and kind of share that. So that's really all I wanted to discuss. And thank you guys for your continued service, and for the new members, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's always good to hear from you. All right, moving on, we have an addendum on this. I don't know if you guys have noticed it on there, but we have a presentation. So we're going to go ahead. Is Matt? There he is. He's hiding behind him. Go ahead, Matt. Come on up. Let me read you the actual addendum item. This is a presentation by Reynolds Wellness Center Director Matt Pollock regarding the Wellness Center's operations. Dana, I think you have requested this as well, so it's something we want to put on there. I don't know what our time frame is, but if you want to do it once every 6 months or something, just to kind of give us an update, that'd be great. Just something.
Monthly is fine with me, Mayor.
Listen, let's not go too far.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Matt Pollock, and I've had the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Reynolds Wellness Center since December of 2018, 6 years this last December. Who we are. Our ribbon cutting was December the 6th, 2010. We celebrate our 15th anniversary this coming Christmas. And we're going to be announcing plans very shortly on how we're going to do that. We actually will not do it at Christmas because of Snowman Wonderland. We're going to do something in the fall. At the Wellness, so we are celebrating our 15th year, and I do appreciate the opportunity to brag on our center, our people, and our members. So we have one full-time worker at the Wellness Center, and that's me. And then we have 20 employees, 20 part-time employees. We are open 16 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Actually, we close an hour early on Friday. 4 shifts per day. And those shifts accommodate folks who can work those shifts. So primarily senior adults and older folks work the morning and the day shift. And we reserve the night shift for our high school students who have their first job, and college students gives them an opportunity to enter the workforce under a really good leader. I would also tell you that, as you know, we are under the Seminole Community Wellness Facility Authority that's appointed by you. That's currently Corey Crabtree, Elaine Nelson, Mark Childress, the city manager, Steve Saxon, Coach Rita Story from the college, and then Kevin Kazee. What we offer at the Wellness Center, I'm sure you're aware of: 2 basketball courts, volleyball courts, 2 pickleball courts, batting cages. Batting cages are up right now because we just resurfaced the floor. They will go back down on Friday the 11th, this Friday. Cardio weights upstairs, indoor-outdoor track. I'm always asked about the outdoor track. 1 complete lap, if you stay on the hard surface, is 8/10 of a mile. If you do the inside dirt loop, it's 1 complete mile. Upstairs on the inside track, 11 times around is a mile. We have clickers. You can check out a clicker and keep track. We also have a studio, which floor was just resurfaced today. Conference rooms, play areas, banquets rooms, shower facilities, and locker uses. What we do, so we're a 39 square foot building that encourages families and folks to come and get their workout in. We offer some classes here: traditional yoga Monday evening, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Chair yoga, that's pretty new to us. That's currently a free class. We're generating some folks to come to that. We average about 12 to 15, so pretty good classes so far. That's Monday and Wednesday morning. Tai Chi is Monday through Friday mornings and Wednesday evenings. Our Wednesday evening class is growing to about a dozen, so Melissa Seifert from Wewoke Indian Health teaches that one for us. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, also a free class, is our senior adult stretch and walk class. We've got about 20 folks that come to this 2 days a week. They'll do some light weights and some workouts, and then they'll walk the track upstairs. And again, that's currently and remains a free class for us. How we operate, as you know, we are somewhat of an enterprise agency. We raise our own money to support a budget of about $412,000 that you approve. We do that through revenue streams. Memberships, we're currently at 3,096. That was as of Monday. That fluctuates every day. It goes up. 3 to 5 folks either leave, or 3 to 5 folks join us, and we're happy for those that join us. We also use a revenue stream through rentals. Our banquet rooms in the back are pretty occupied. As a matter of fact, we just rented the last weekend in May. There are no more openings in May. So those rooms are available. We also rent out the batting cages to groups and teams. And then our courts. We rent out our courts to coaches who are training in Little League. And we also are 2 nights a week and every Sunday with the Oklahoma Forest Volleyball Club. We also have small amount of point-of-sale items, Gatorade, water, things like that. Our group fitness classes, you do not have to be a member or buy a day pass to come to those fitness classes like yoga. Those are $4 per class, and small amount of revenue there. And then also those that do not choose to be a member, monthly or annual member, or a 30-day pass holder, we also offer daily use passes. These are primarily for those folks who are traveling through our town or visiting for a small amount of time. $10 a day for adults, $5 for seniors and for youth. I wanted to talk about our memberships for just a moment on the next slide. These are kind of, this slide here can be a little bit confusing because we have 46 different types of memberships. And I want to kind of explain a couple of them and how we get to that number. Family memberships, 2 adults, 3 children, up to age 23 if you're in college living in the same household. That's probably the most abused membership that we have because if my kid has 2 friends, I want to get them on. And so that's probably the most abused one, but it's in the same household. Individual memberships, couples, youth are those that age 12 to 18. Senior adult, 55 plus. And then our corporates. So we operate with several of our corporates in town. Some pay for complete memberships, some pay for partial memberships. Some are conditional use. If they come this many times, I'll pay this much for their membership. We also have several insurance programs where if you are with United Healthcare, Renew Active, Humana, you will join us for free, and then your insurance will pay us for your time in the facility. The only difference with those is that I have to report how many times you came in that month. And they're all a little bit different. Some you have to come in at least 10 times. Some, if I get $1.75 every time you come in, up to the price of your membership. Also, those insurances that pay, and you're going to see the numbers in a moment, they lag behind about 6 to 8 months. So we're waiting for that revenue later. And then other types of memberships are we give discounts to veterans, to law enforcement, first responders, and also any individual that works for a company that has 5 or more members with us, they receive a discount. It's not much. It's $5 off a month, $60 a year, but that's better than a stick in the eye. Our memberships are 3,096 as of Monday. These are our top memberships. Family memberships, 484 of those. 316 belong to corporates, 285 to Silver Sneakers. Silver Sneakers is the Humana Insurance and also Walton Family Pass. I'll give you an example. Those that work at Walmart have the opportunity to join us as an individual membership at $27.50 a month, or Walmart will buy their family pass for $13.50. So it's quite a significant savings, and then Walmart pays us the remainder of that balance. Veterans, we have 235 of those. Law enforcement, first responders, 196 seniors, 146 individuals. That United Healthcare is there, and then 72 college students, and these are primarily those that, so the women's basketball, the women's soccer, and one more, soccer, basketball, and volleyball and golf. They contract with us. We give their students memberships, and they pay for those memberships at the end of the year through fundraisers. Just a kind of a fun slide here. I'll go through this real quick. Our memberships, we have 1,525 male members, 1,476 females. There are some not accounted for, and that's simply because we don't get the sex of the younger kids. Our oldest active member that works out is 94 years old, and then we have about another 5 over the age of 90 that work out every day with us. Body in Motion stays in motion. Join the Wellness Center. Youngest that I could report is 5, but we really don't track those younger kids. It was just a number that we had. Not our average age of members, but our most age of all of our members is age 19. That's the sweet spot. Zip codes that we serve. I did a quick survey, and we have 96 zip codes represented in our 3,096 members. The largest is Seminole at 74868. Wewoka is the second largest at 294, Earlsboro at 89. And you probably are guessing what's number 4, and the answer is Holdenville. They come in the 4th. You may ask, why do we serve so many zip codes? We have a lot of folks that work in Seminole that don't live here. So they will drive to Seminole, they'll drive to the Wellness Center, they're waiting in the parking lot, normally about 4:15. We open at 5. We open as soon as we get there, typically 4:30, and they're ready to work out. And so they'll work out and then go to work. And a lot of folks will get off their shift and they'll come and work out on their way home. So we serve a lot of zip codes. I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
I have a question. So the hours that you are open, is it the board, the authority that sets that?
Yes, ma'am. And it's not a shot in the dark, or that, I mean, many people, if you ask any 16-year-old, that comes to the Wellness Center, they want to come in 24 hours a day. We have to balance heating and air, personnel, people, staffing for more hours. In the summertime, our average heat, or in the wintertime as well with heat, it's about $5,000 a month to operate heating utilities plus personnel cost. And when you go do that by the hour, we kind of evaluate. That's Friday night, we close at 8 because there was only 1 or 2 people that were there probably after the 8 o'clock hour. So it's not a balancing act. We kind of look, the board looks and says, what's the right thing to do here?
So I do remember on the hours used to be open later, and so maybe what I'm hearing is it costs more to stay open longer, and you don't have as many people coming as late.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Unless your name is Steve Saxon, you like to show up.
And Dana Miller, because I'm always the last one there, and I wish like just a little bit longer, but it's really hard to make that decision to go and work out.
We kind of, it's not, and it's really not a balancing act. I hate to say that because it's like the idea of a tornado is coming. Do we close the Wellness Center when it gets to Tecumseh? Do I make that call when it's at Asher? You're just trying to make the best call that you can, putting everything in perspective. So that's kind of what the board has done.
We looked at that. I have a seat on the board. I have. Now I'll just take it as mayor. We're going to get one more person to replace me, but we didn't take that lightly. The system will actually tell you who's checked in at those hours. And you can do a cumulative over a month's time and say, hey, there's an average of 2 people after 9 o'clock. It's not conducive for us to pay somebody twice what that makes is just for them to sit there and wait for you to get done. So, in which there's with only 2 people, it kind of makes sense. But most of the business in the Wellness Center is going to be in the morning. I mean, like, probably, what would you say, 50-75% of your business is
First thing in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's
And then after
terrible.
school, we have a large rate for kids and families. And then lately, it's been 5:30 to 6 o'clock. We will grow by 100 people in just a couple of hours. That may be why you're waiting to do your.
Yeah, it really is, because if you work
We do
all,
open at 5.
if you work all day, and I don't get up that early, but if you work all day, you get up at 5, you have dinner, and then you get there about 5:30 or 6, it's difficult to find space. So try to wait until 7 or 8, then it's closing. So that's a little difficult, but I guess there is reasoning behind it.
What I'm hearing is Dana needs an exit door that locks on the way out.
Just for me. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And, this update is helpful because I don't know if the public is welcome to attend the authority meetings.
It's an open meeting.
It's an
and
open meeting?
posted.
Okay. Because I don't know if I know for a fact I've never been to one. So I appreciate you coming here.
They meet just before this meeting at 5:50.
Oh, really?
each month.
Okay.
Comment time.
Seminole has a great gym that accommodates those that want to go after 8 o'clock. Won't put their name out there, but they are a 24-hour gym. I know you guys can't be 24 hours, but Seminole does have a great gym.
It does. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I really am proud of is, and it's not a competition, we can serve people, all kinds. Those that just want to work out, those that want to bring their families, those that just want to congregate. So that's one of the things that I'm really most pleased about is that we can accommodate a lot of different types of people and a lot of different types of families for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, the kid area is great.
All right, any other questions from that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing for the Seminoles 2045 Comprehensive Plan with a presentation by consultants Brandon McDougall and Catherine Redburn. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, cool.
Congratulations. Always a challenge.
Seminole Schools right there.
I think we have a presentation for you. Slide. Yeah, you should be able, there we go. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to be with you this evening. My name is Brandon McDougall, and with me is Catherine Redfern. And we are part of the team, the project managers for the team that developed Seminole 2045, the new comprehensive plan for the community. I can tell you, having sat in here this evening and hearing about all of the exciting accomplishments, they're all because of planning. They're all because of the vision of leadership from this council, from city staff, and there's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of good momentum in the community, and it's really exciting. I can also say that because Catherine and I had the privilege of working on your current comprehensive plan 12 years ago, and it's exciting to see some of those projects come to life. You know, it was remarkable to hear that 12 years ago, we were excited about this brand-new wellness center, that we had a place to meet, and here it is, the 15-year anniversary. So again, we are excited to be with you again tonight. It has been almost a year to the day since we started this process. We started in here with a joint meeting of the City Council and the Planning Commission, and in that time, a lot of work and a lot of input has been gathered. So tonight, we are not going to go page by page through the plan. The plan's been available on the website, and I hope was made available to you in your packets. But what we're going to give you is an overview of the planning process, how the plan is structured, and most importantly, how to use it. So Catherine is going to talk a little bit about the process and community engagement. Yeah, so like Brandon said, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the comprehensive plan is and the process we went through to help you all update the plan, and then Brandon will walk through kind of an overview of the policy content of the document itself. So, I didn't touch it. The comprehensive plan is one of your most important planning tools that you have available to you as a city. The plan helps shape the future of the city, creates a vision for 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And that vision is based on community input, values and needs that are identified from the city of Seminole, people who live here, work here. And it also identifies specific projects that can get you to that vision, to that future. And also, it perhaps most importantly provides this overarching framework for all the other plans, policies, and ordinances that you all use in your everyday decision-making, guiding the future of the city. A good comprehensive plan is going to set the stage for fiscal responsibility by being coordinated with your capital improvement program and your annual budgeting process to make sure that plans and projects included in the comp plan are reflected in those documents. It's going to be the foundation for good planning. Like Brandon talked about, you all have been doing a lot of great planning, and this is the next iteration of that. So it coordinates the other area plans, master plans, ordinances that you all are going to use to help get you even farther down the road. And to that end, the next phase of this project, after the plan is adopted, will be a land use tools diagnostic. So basically, we'll look at your land use tools, we'll look at your ordinances, your design standards, your subdivision ordinance, to ensure that they are in line with the new comprehensive plan, so that you all have the tools right out the gate to make sure that you can get the work done. Which brings us to the update process. So we are in the final phase of what's been essentially a 3-phase update process for the comprehensive plan. We began, like Brandon said, this process almost a year ago at the joint work session between City Council and Planning Commission in this room. And that was the kickoff for this input and data gathering phase of the project. We conducted in-person outreach with community organizations, city staff, public boards, and then we also conducted online engagement for the greater community through public surveys and the planseminole.com website. We also conducted data analysis and research and field work, and all of the data that we collected through public engagement, through these meetings, through the data analysis were included in the public engagement summary and the current conditions report, which are appendices to the draft comprehensive plan. They also have been posted on the planseminole.com website. Phase 2 of the project is drafting the plan. So throughout the late summer, fall, and early winter, we worked worked in a continuous feedback loop with city staff to draft the plan to make sure that everything we're putting into the document was actionable for the city of Seminole. After that, we then entered the review and refinement phase. We had a public open house in January at the Wellness Center. We used one of those great rooms in the back of the Wellness Center, where we invited the public to come and look at the concepts that were included in the plan, provide feedback, ask us questions. We then incorporated edits that we got from staff, from the public, presented the plan to the Planning Commission for their review and feedback, and here we are tonight with you all considering the plan for adoption. And like I mentioned earlier, the work doesn't stop after adoption, right? The most important work begins afterwards. Rubber hits the road and you all start implementing and using the plan. And to that end, we are going to be conducting this land use tools diagnostic, which will again look at your ordinances to make sure that they are supporting the goals and projects included in the comprehensive plan, that they're compliant with any state code requirements that you all need to meet through your ordinances, and then that they include any best planning practices to really move you all down the road. So just briefly, we'll talk about how the community was engaged, how they had their voice heard as part of the plan update process. Of course, community engagement is the backbone of any planning process. The values and needs of the people who live here are really the foundation of any good plan. And the plan process and engagement and outreach for Plan Seminole 2045 was no different. It was a multi-pronged effort to engage folks, really making it easy for folks to get involved. You know, it's hard for people to come out to a meeting, to stand up, to ask questions, and to share their input. So we provided as many ways as possible for as many people as possible to have their voice heard. We had in-person public meetings, we had 7 community meetings throughout the planning process, and we had 7 public surveys available through the project website. And the project website was really the backbone of public engagement, clearinghouse for all information about everything Plan Seminole 2045. That information about what the comp plan is, why it's important, why people should get involved, advertised in-person meetings, had links to the public surveys. And through that outreach, we had over 200 survey responses, and over 70 people attend our various public meetings throughout the process. So what did those folks have to say? What did we hear throughout all that engagement? And a lot of what we heard was pretty consistent across all those different platforms, and you see that summarized on the screen here. These are the key themes that we heard throughout the public engagement process. And really the people in Seminole value their community. They see assets in what you have on the ground now, a great educational network, a great Parks and Rec network, and just the people that live here. Right? It's the value of living in a small town is relationships and knowing your neighbors. But there's also some consensus that there's a need to revitalize downtown, right? The heart of the community. And y'all have done a lot of great work and are doing a lot of great work to do that right now. But there was pretty good consensus throughout public engagement that we need to do more and we need to broaden our efforts to bring life back to the downtown. And improving pedestrian safety. Data showed, and just, you know, being here on a day-to-day basis, people in Seminole walk to work, they walk to the grocery store. You know, consistently seeing people cross Milt Phillips to get to the cash chamber. Mm-hmm. So improving pedestrian safety is something that we heard consistently. Mm-hmm. While people are walking to work or they're walking to the store, they maybe don't necessarily feel safe doing it. So how can we make the sidewalk network safer so that people can navigate the city on foot? The next 2, more restaurant options, more activities for kids. These are related in the fact that people are looking for ways to improve quality of life, but also attract more families, attract kids, but also attract people who are passing through, who are maybe here for a sports event or here just driving through. Capture those dollars so that they can spend them here in Seminole. And again, these are things that you all are already doing a lot of work towards. The Family Entertainment Center seems like some great opportunities for youth golf. Things that we can build on. And then finally, enhancing community pride and engagement. So again, just increasing pride in the community, increasing engagement, building that next generation of leaders so that this good work can continue on into the future. So these key issues, key opportunities, as well as the data we collected really form the foundation, the backbone of the policies included in the plan. And You can read about them in more detail, again, in the community engagement summary, as well as the current conditions report. But I'm going to hand it back to Brandon, who's going to talk about the plan itself.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So just briefly, the plan is organized, it's guided by the guiding vision. You know, what we heard, as Catherine shared, what we heard from the community is that people are looking for a thriving, connected, and livable Seminole. And that's how we structured the plan. So we have a vision statement that's supported by some catalyst projects we'll talk about in just a moment, and then 3 toolkits that really form those core chapters or elements of the plan. The vision statement describes the vision for Seminole of 2045. And again, the theme that we heard from all of the online and in-person engagement is that people are looking for a thriving, connected, and livable community. This vision statement is carried out in the Catalyst projects. And if you think about the Catalyst projects as the start here, do this first. These are our top 10 list of projects that we heard from the community and from city staff. These are the priorities. These are key initiatives that are designed to deliver impactful change across the community. They're both physical and policy projects, so physical meaning capital projects and policy related. And a good example of this, Catherine touched on downtown revitalization. Adjacent to that, we talk about a land bank program. So we have a physical project supported by a policy project. Again, I won't read this entire slide to you. These are 2 pages included in the comprehensive plan, but we did want to highlight this because, like I said, these are the top 10 hits, if you will. This is what rose to the top as being most important, and this is a good starting place to look for implementation. Okay, I mentioned that the plan is organized into 3 toolkits, and all 3 toolkits are organized around this one question: how do we fill in the blank? How do we create thriving places? So thriving places, this element is really the heart of the comprehensive plan. This element focuses on land use growth and development, and it includes the future land use map, which is organized into 3 areas. So we have growth, revitalization, and downtown. Now, Sharon and her team can talk to you at length about the many different zoning districts, and the tools that are available to the Planning Commission and to you all. We heard about special use permits tonight. There are any number of tools that will help implement this map. But at a very high level, it's helpful to think about the city as being organized into growth areas. That would be new development, revitalization, that's in-town development. Some of that's under the purview of the Urban Renewal Authority, some of it isn't, but those are your traditional in-town neighborhoods and commercial areas. And then downtown. And one thing I would point out in this map, and for purposes of planning, we actually bled downtown across Milt Phillips, just to bring that visual connection as you're coming down the corridor. One of the things that we heard from the surveys and from conversations with folks about downtown is that you can't see it. And we have to find a way to hook people off of Milt Phillips. So we felt like there was some opportunity for some business revitalization along Milt Phillips that would then provide as a connector or that hook into downtown. So each toolkit contains a description and outline of suggested policies or practices. In the case of thriving communities, it also includes an identification of land uses and planning and design guidance. For the purposes of streamlining this presentation, as I said, we're not going page by page, but all 3 toolkits are supported by pages like this that are that how-to step-by-step implementation. The second toolkit, how do we create connected places? So connected places are streets, sidewalks, trails. Those are gateways, corridors, etc., but also infrastructure and community facilities. So if you think of connected places as those physical things that connect the land uses that we saw on the map. And just like the previous toolkit, the connectivity toolkit is guided by a connectivity map. The policies that are included in this toolkit Include recognizing opportunities for leveraging resources, finding partnerships potentially with ODOT and other partners, and using connectivity as a guide for infrastructure investment and policy and ordinance updates. And finally, the third toolkit, this is a little bit less tangible. This is a little bit softer. How do we create livable places? So this is where we're looking at a thriving economy, quality of life, community pride and identity, and also leadership, community capacity, and education. So all three of the toolkits have an action plan that includes specific projects. As I mentioned, we've included links to resources. We've also included estimated timing, so over the next 1 to 10 years. Some of the recommended projects are ongoing. Some of them are just best practices that you should always be considering. And then we've also included cost estimates. So as Catherine mentioned, we have to give credit to the staff who recognized that the first and most important step in implementation is making sure that the comprehensive plan and the land use regulations are in sync, that the land use regulations are carrying out that vision. So we've been working with the community development staff on that land use diagnostic, and we hope to have that finished later this summer. But with that, we again thank you for your time and all of your input over the last year, and we'll take any questions.
I read, really almost in depth the entire 2045 idea, and I just pray I make 20 years. The only thing I did not see in any depth or anything was the flooding. I saw a couple words that talked about flooding, but I saw nothing that was a plan for our flood problem that we currently have. And it's great that Milt Phillips is going to build some businesses and things like that, but we're losing businesses because of flooding, and we're losing homes because of flooding. So until that's fixed, I'm just wondering what is and I hope it's not 20 years before we figure out a flooding plan.
No, absolutely not. And the reason that we didn't spend a lot of time discussing that in this particular plan is because the city has already undertaken a drainage study that anticipates some of that. So the recommendations that we included with regard to flooding are things like participation in FEMA's community rating system. Those would lower flood insurance premiums for residents. And as part of doing that, there are steps that you would have to take to mitigate, to improve your flood damage prevention ordinance and your floodplain review. Also, and this was included as a catalyst project, I'm looking at impact fees and establishing a stormwater utility to help offset any costs for maintenance of the stormwater system.
I would like to see that, like, just on paper. I didn't see it in part of the, I didn't see it on paper, I'll say, like that explained.
Included in the catalyst projects.
Is it real tiny?
It is real tiny, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, no, I can't see it from there, and I couldn't see it on paper that I had. It's just,
Sure, but at the
and I don't wear glasses.
The catalyst.
I will relook at it for
I was
sure.
just gonna say, the catalyst projects are located on page, the spread is page 11 and 12
Okay.
of the document. And each of those projects are also included in the toolkits, which are farther down in the document.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely, I'll relook at it and just blow it up, so.
And again, the city has a stormwater management assessment and plan that was adopted a number of years ago. And so we know it's critical, I think is the
Right.
short answer.
I'll tell you, a number of years ago, I wasn't in a floodplain and I wasn't paying flood insurance, but I am today. Second question, I don't know if anyone else wants to go. You said the last 12 years, besides the wellness center, what other projects were successful in that?
Sure, so the Wellness Center was actually a new project when we started this, and it was a result of some previous planning efforts. I was trying to jot them down while they were being discussed. The Family Entertainment Center and all of the improvements with the new high school, the new ball fields, that entire development out there was envisioned.
Okay.
Improvements to the golf course, which are coming to pass now. Improvements to recreation overall, that was a big conversation that we had, and again, that's gradually happening. What's difficult, and the reason that these are 20-year plans, is that these are they're long-term investments. They take a long-term to plan and they take a long-term to finance.
I appreciate it.
One thing, other thing I would add to that is at the same time that we worked on the last plan, that was the formation of the Urban Renewal Authority. That was a tremendous undertaking at the time.
Okay, I appreciate it.
It was a heavy lift.
I just want to say thank you for all your efforts in making sure that page is really impressive. The community engagement that you made every effort to make sure every citizen had an opportunity to have their voice heard. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the roadmap. Good job.
Thank you all for the
Well
Yeah,
done.
it looks great.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, unless somebody's like burning up, can we turn the air conditioner?
Oh, I turned it way down when everybody was in here. My apologies.
That's okay.
You got it.
I'm going to go ahead and close the public meeting.
Thank you, Shelley.
Yes. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you, guys. All right. We're going to move on to approvals and acceptances under resolutions. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2025-01, a resolution declaring May as Fair Housing Month for the city of Seminole.
Approved.
Second.
As long as that doesn't mean I have to like cook half the meals at home. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jay.
Trace Connor.
Yes. My fair share.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Jolene Doucette.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to ordinances. Item 2, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1305, an ordinance rezoning the Austin townhomes from R3 multifamily dwelling to R4 townhomes. You want to elaborate on where this is for our new?
Yeah, this isn't a, if you'll look at the screen there, we're looking at the Austin townhomes that our new developer, this is the same developer that's building the homes near the roundabout. There's a kind of a elevation or drawing of what these townhomes are going to look like. So we started out kind of classifying them as apartments, which it could currently, under the current zone, be done. But as we began to see the way that these were forming up, they're clearly more of a townhome look. And we call for a different zone if they're going to do townhomes. So we're asking that that be done.
Do we know what the costs on these are gonna be rented or
Not yet.
not yet?
I'm sure part of that is going to depend on the tariffs of the Canadian wood that's going to be building them.
And that is Seminole, the land, that was Seminole Industrial Foundation land?
No, that, the whole history is it was Seminole Industrial Foundation, which is a private foundation. It's made up, there's bankers, lawyer, just a couple of businessmen that are the Seminole Industrial Foundation. And they did own the land. They sold it hoping for an apartment complex. And that never materialized. And Jay Mock, who owns the Austin Townhomes idea, has purchased it from the previous owner that was going to build apartments.
Do they have a time frame of when they would like these things?
Knowing the way they did this first development, it's going to happen quicker than you can blink. I did notice that they've got a construction shipping container already set on the site. I think they're just waiting on us to get this thing moving.
And I'll go back to traffic, with all these homes that's gonna be built right there between the Seminole Academy traffic. Or have we looked, I'm sure we've looked at, future widening of that road or, something to offset all that traffic?
Yes, boy, that's been a minute since I looked at there was a TEC study, a traffic engineering company, that did the study, and they did call they're not as concerned about the density of that housing development. What they're concerned about is the outlets. So as you get on to Harvey, they were calling for a 3-lane. And so what we did is the council at that time actually acquired the corner property. So as you drive from the wellness center to the fire station, that property on the right-hand side, there's a lot that's lower and a lot that's higher. Those are both owned by the city. So that at some point, when we get to the traffic counts that warrant more calming, my planners are gone, but I'm sorry. I know that's not accurate, but I'm going to call it that, all right? That we were able to have the space to do the things necessary to accommodate.
And that area floods, right? So, right at that dip at the bridge, right? So that's where we're talking about that townhomes are going, right where the other addition is at, right behind it.
Yeah, so I don't,
Are we
TV
on the
needs to be
street or is it
tilted
on
out.
You're on the hill.
Duplex side? I mean, are we on the same side? Are we on the side of the?
We're on the golf course side.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm
Okay,
thinking.
so if you look, Sharon,
So everything west of those
Matt,
houses floods.
turn that TV a little bit that way without pulling it
So
on
we
your
north
head.
of the houses?
Okay, so if you'll point to where the flood structure is going to be, so they're planning on building a detention pond
Okay,
that will more than compensate for the
Okay.
runoff.
yeah,
I'm anticipating where you're going, so
yeah,
does
that's
that
it.
answer it?
Yep,
Okay.
that's what I was looking
That other part you're thinking about is
for. I mean, my kid tried to play soccer in the field across, but it was always wet.
I believe that the academy did also change their routes for drop-off and pickup to accommodate for that road too. So you can't turn left out of the school when you pick up. I think you have to turn right to help with some of that traffic, just to try to alleviate it. There's no choice but to have traffic there. They don't have buses, so. Anyone have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Jolene DeSette.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 3, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1306, an ordinance amending Title 17 Utilities, Chapter 4, Garbage System, 17-4-8/9, refuse collection to collect a 2.9% price increase to customers. So we've already done this. in
Just
utilities, but we're
verifying
just
in
doing it
the council
ordinance.
what we did in the, yeah.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Jolene DeSette.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to current business, item 4, consideration and possible action to adopt the 2045 comprehensive plan.
Move to approve.
Second. Did you get those, Jay?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, go ahead, roll call, please.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Jolene DeSette.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 5, consideration and possible action to approve the fireworks production contract with Rainbow Fireworks Incorporated for the annual 4th of July celebration in the amount of $16,000 with 50% or $8,000 to be paid in advance as a deposit.
How much in overtime do we pay on when fire or fire police maintenance comes out? So what is the overtime on top of the 16,000?
Is John still here? You're going to be probably in the $4,000, $5,000 range for the extra shift. Probably not quite that much between police and fire. So it's a lot less
The
than.
night of, yeah, the night of.
She just talked about the night.
Yeah, the night of.
Not the whole season, just the night.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. John, do you have any idea? Probably in the one shift is going to cost us
20 an hour, 21
seven.
an hour.
Roughly about $700.
That's what I was going to say, $700-ish. It's a lot less than it was when we had the big festival and music down there, a lot less.
Is this bidded out, or is just, we just like these people? This is our best price that we can get?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We have bid it out in the past. This is a reoccurring, in fact,
So the tariffs-
without
tariffs aren't gonna
sounding-
hit these people?
I'm sorry?
The tariffs hadn't hit these people?
That's what I was about to say. Without being sarcastic, I'm guessing that if we don't lock them in on this price, it's going to go up very quickly with where the manufacturing occurs.
Just remind them we don't want a cheap show.
It seems like that's less than we paid in the past, but maybe I'm misremembering. I thought we paid like 20,000 in the past or something like that.
I don't think we ever hit the 20,000, but
If I may, Mayor, if I may, I'm just gonna add my 2 cents here. And I'm jumping, but I'm coming back to, cities in a crisis. I mean, it is what it is with the, sewer treatment plant, and I love fireworks, and I love that the city can come together. I have a hard time, I'm an only parent, and some Christmases, we got one item. And this year is one of those years that we're gonna have one item, because we've got to pay for this plant. I have a hard time saying, agreeing to this when I may have to cut my guys' equipment at fire or at police or maintenance, no matter how small it might be. My thought is, and I love the city, and again, I want to have fireworks, but if we could maybe outsource and look for some donations, I would love to spend my ever aching minutes that I have to find somebody to donate to help pay for this, so that I'm just trying to save money everywhere that we can get right now with the city. And
You want to tell them where, I'm going to let him elaborate on where that money comes from.
it's a great point, absolutely valid. I should have probably pointed out that this is funded through the tourism tax dollars. So this comes earmarked by the voters
Okay.
to pay for it by the beds that are rented at hotels and motels.
Okay, so this is
So
not our
they-
budget from.
Well,
Out of that budget.
right.
Okay.
It comes from that earnings or the revenue from the hotel rentals into that pot of money, then it's budgeted and goes.
And we were on a plus with this revenue out of that budget?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Voter mandated is what Brad said, yes.
okay.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's literally money up in smoke, in the way I see it. It's fun. I have we take our family, we have people come in, because it's the best fireworks around. But I will make my annual request that we continue to look for drones, because no joke, because there are veterans who have, when they hear those sounds, it's hard for them. And then also, I guarantee you, after that night and the next day, you see a ton of posts, people looking for their dogs who have ran away because they're terrified. So, I think drones are cool, and it doesn't hurt the environment, doesn't bother our veterans or the animals in town. So, again, I don't know if you had a chance to.
We did.
To price those out or find out what
We
was.
did.
Those
And
were available?
If it pleases the council, we'll pitch that at the next council meeting, our findings.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Anybody else have any?
Maybe I need to give a little bit of context, the history. So for decades, I am told that the American Legion did the whole shebang. When they had the games. Bingo, thank you. Bingo. When they had the bingo income, they had plenty of revenue to be able to put the fireworks on. And then later, the Chamber of Commerce kind of took that on and paid for most, if not all of it. And as the chamber began to fade and American Legion didn't pick it up, it became the city council's issue. And so it's just kind of slid into our lap as, oh, well, if we're going to have fireworks, it's got to be the city council that does it. So I very much agree with you that it kind of doesn't taste right, maybe, for some reason.
That's it. For sure. But
If we don't do it, then
in
it's.
the
yeah.
entertainment world, you
Right.
know, if you don't do it at all, then you face, it's just as bad on the other side. I know it's, I don't even buy fireworks myself.
Neither.
Mr. Mayor, when I first moved here, it was one of the most impressive things was the fireworks display. It just, it's nice to see a small town have such a good turnout and a good display to celebrate our nation's birthday. And I hope that, I wish we could get it for free, but if it's up to us, I'd like to have a good one or not have one.
And something else that we've had to in the past is that you can't always just go out and grab these display companies as they're booked for years and years and years. So you're on their schedule. So when you go out and search for finding some other ones, they're gonna tell you they're already booked and have been for years. I believe that was one of the problems you guys had
Exactly.
as well. So I'm just thankful that at least we're on somebody's
And I should also point out, our plan is to do it on the 4th of July, which is on Friday, so.
So holiday pay on that overtime, right, Chief?
for a couple hours.
We'll let the boys know.
All right. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve. Yes, I'll second that.
All right, Mr. J.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Scott Rossman.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Jolene Doucette.
No.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 6, consideration and possible action regarding the suspension of water, wastewater, and trash billing concessions for city officials, the city council members, and mayor.
So this is mine, not to red flag anybody or upset the hens here. Again, I go back to, my heart is with municipalities. I have, my entire adult life, I have worked for emergency service inside of a municipality. I am far more familiar, with time spent away and time that I don't have and extra efforts that I've done, even as an officer here for Seminole, whether I was on duty or not, when someone had a burglary, I nonstop, every single day, whether I was getting paid or not, I was still looking for that item, I was still looking for that person. I was doing that job outside of my pay. My biggest concern right now is not taking a dime away from these departments who absolutely have to have everything that they need. Fire is understaffed, police is understaffed, equipment is understaffed, it's in poor condition, needs new stuff, fire needs new stuff. They had grants too that weren't, that didn't get to follow through with, so they don't have working equipment. We talked about this, Mayor, and I understand that it seems to be just pennies, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but when I fought so hard to get onto this council, and it was for a change, one of Seminole's most favorite sayings is that, well, this is how it's always been, and I get that, and I respect it, and I think that our time is worth being compensated, but at this moment, I go back to this Christmas, well, we're just gonna get one gift this year. I'm not asking for this to stay, to not be compensated, for it to not be a perk. It's just, let it be recognized, for 1 year or for 2 years. If we went just based off of my water bill, when read correctly, it is $71 a month approximately. That goes, if we said all 9, that's about $7,000 a year, which goes a long way for someone that works on a ground crew or something, making $13 an hour, $12 an hour. That goes a long way. It goes a long way with fire. Their pants are $200-something a piece. Just those small pennies go a long way, and it's gonna help save, just for a couple of years. It's an incredible, respectful gesture. I don't want to take something out of someone's pocket, but we all are gonna have to give from each department. I specifically even asked the city manager, would you be willing to give certain percentage from your department? And absolutely. So if one can say, yes, I'm agreeing, we gotta give this up. Police know they gotta give something up, fire knows they gotta give something up. I'm saying respectfully, I would like to give up this for the time being. Circle back to it whenever we get our feet back on the ground, and figure some things out. That's my thought on it. And again, I respect everybody's time and stuff, but I came to this to volunteer, not to get my water paid, but I do appreciate it. I'm thankful. It's my way of wanting to be able to help the city save a little bit and give back. So that's my thought on it. And $10,000. Speaking of the animal shelter, they need a new epoxy floor, so $7,000 that we could save for that year is gonna pay for that epoxy floor so that our puppies over there don't get parvo. That is an incredible facility right now. They have done so much over there, and every little bit helps. So if that water bill allowance is up for a year, it's still gonna help that facility get them equipment that they need, so that's my thought. Not to disrespect anybody's time or anything, but that's my thought on it.
I don't think you're disrespecting anybody, which we had this conversation, right? That's what I told Jillian, is it's great to agree to disagree. Those things are gonna happen. Dana and I we commented, we joke about this, we've disagreed about a lot of things, but I'm not gonna be that person. We just won't do that. For me, taking on more responsibility now than what I even had as a council member, in reference to your job, I answer phone calls at my job. I take phone calls after hours, go see people, go to festivals, go to meetings, go to things that I'm not required to do, but I feel like I should. And the water bill deal for us, and I mentioned it was pennies, but our cost on that is so minute, yet it's a little bit of a reward just for saying thank you is really all it is. The water's gonna sit in the pipes in my house whether I use it or not. The cost doesn't really increase either way. I'm gonna put a little bit of sewage out. Most of the people that are on this council right now are mostly a family of 2. Do we create a lot of water and waste? Probably not. But my thing is, it's been a nice gesture. I think it's the only other compensation that you could offer, since we don't own another utility, would be to pay someone cash for meetings like some cities do, which is far more outreaching than just offering a service for free. So you've got taxes to pay, you've got additional work for Jay. Those kind of things I'm not interested in doing, but for me, it's always been just a small concession and agree. It's only $70-something a month, but when we're talking about employees, in which you'll get into some budget sessions, but we've not yet determined what we're gonna have to do yet. We've not even crossed that bridge. We already have these departments that are submitting CIP projects every year that we are gonna support these projects 100% as long as we have money. And Jay will find money. He's a miracle worker, I'm just telling you.
It's all on Jay.
We will find ways to make
Not
things
$20
happen.
million.
You're not ever gonna get 100% of what you want in the
Sorry,
city.
Jay.
Just, you're not ever gonna get 100% of what you want. This was just something small, and I know you don't wanna hear it, it's just what it's always been done, and that's not what I mean by it. It's just a part of the compensation plan. I think the city, somebody told me the city of Holdenville pays like $150 or $200 a meeting. Well, if we have 4 meetings a month, that's a lot of money.
Pay 200.
Oh, 2,000? Okay, so it's $500 a month times per council member, so
We can
they're
do
a
that.
smaller town.
We could do that.
And I've
make a
I feel,
motion.
I feel like the water
Exactly.
is something, is to me, is not being greedy, it is being thankful, and I'm thankful for it. Could every one of us in here afford to pay our water bill? Absolutely. That's not the point. The point is just, I think it's a city saying thank you for your service. We didn't volunteer for this, we were elected. So really, if you went to work for an employer, your employer's not allowed to let you work for free. So you have to be compensated to some degree. Now, if we volunteered and said, hey, no one's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, that's on you. If you don't get paid for it, you volunteered, awesome. But this is not this is an elected deal, and we've got a lot of responsibility. It's just a small reward. And that's what I'm saying. I don't disrespect you at all. You have to know that. I don't disrespect anybody, but that's just the way I've always viewed that. And, if you want to give up yours, that's fine. That would be commendable, and you can let people know that. But for me, I just view it as a small piece of compensation that, and I'm not going to get greedy. For me to come to and say, hey, I'm mayor now, I think I should give my water, my electric, and all this stuff for free now. You'll never hear that from me. Water's sufficiently fine for me. I don't need anything else. And I probably use less than all of you guys. If my hot tub quit, so.
Well, I'm glad I get it, and I want to keep it.
So my
I appreciate
reward
it.
is my ward, is the people in my ward telling me thank you. That's my reward. And there is no dollar sign that's ever going to be greater than my ward that comes here and represents for me. It's a few dollars, and again, and it does help. And I voluntarily went to Awoka and signed up to do this. So I was thankfully elected again by my ward for trusting in me. We're not going to come up with $20 million. I'm sorry, Jay. That's not going to happen without cuts. There's no way that's going to happen without cuts. That's the reality of it. And I'm only trying to make it a little bit easier for Jay over there to find. You can't get to 20 million without a penny started. So this is just my way to try to figure out. And absolutely, I will give up my water allowance. And $71 will help. So
Something that we're trying to do is not to cut anything. I think we'll find very quickly this council's not going to cut any employee, anybody's pay if we can afford to not do that.
well, it's not just pay. It's equipment.
We're not going to cut any, we're not going to cut
and
any of
training.
that. What we've afforded in the past, we are going to keep doing. I can promise you, this council is not about that.
Have we been in $20 million debt
You
before?
have not. But what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to find the resources somehow. Now, you may have to charge somebody a little extra on a sewer bill. Absolutely. The only other alternative is to additional
The
taxes.
sewer bill that we don't want to give up.
Additional taxes and additional, as far as taxes and geo bonds and things like that are going to cost people money, maybe even a lot more than $20 a month. You don't know.
And I even mentioned to Steve that, I mean, before any cuts would come from any department, no matter how much I might disagree with certain departments, I would never want someone to not have their job. I would absolutely agree to a tax rate before I would want any of that to happen. But again,
That's where we are.
I'm
We're in
just
agreement
me, and
with
I
you.
just, I'm willing to give everything I have for the sake of these guys that work endless hours and are away from their families and, as much as we are, I mean, we're away from our family as well, but, that's just what I would do, so.
Just know that the feeling is mutual in this. We're not going to cut anybody anything. As long as we can make it happen, we're going to make it happen. I think we're all on the same page on that. We're not out to, believe me, Steve is very high on city employees. We are very high on city employees. We don't want anyone to not have a job. And if it comes down to a solution that says, you're not getting cut your job, you're not losing equipment, that's where we're going to go.
I think everyone here has heard me say over and again that I like for our city employees to have bragging rights, to say that we work for a city that appreciates us and compensates us properly. I want my water bill.
That's it.
The nice thing
That's
is,
all
you're
I'll
gonna be
ask
part
for.
of the solution now. So when you get those budget meetings, you're gonna be like, hey, I saved those jobs, here's what we did. It's gonna be really cool. You'll see the other side of it, I promise you.
Corey, I just,
Promise you.
I want to think that, you know, I'm disappointed that we're talking about this right here. We have a venue to talk about how we spend our money. And it's called a budget work program. And we will get together and you will see how much we actually we put into this. We don't just show up here and willy-nilly, $20 million here, $10 million there, 16,000 there. There is a ton of thought that goes behind this that no one sees. So I'm disappointed that it made it to the agenda, to be honest with you. Because I feel like this discussion should have been done during that budget work process, where we all get to weigh in, and we do. And that happens in June. That's why I feel like if we were gonna have this discussion publicly and it be on the agenda, it should have been after we could not come to a consensus during that budget work program. So I'm disappointed that we're even talking about it, to be honest with you. Secondly, you know, I heard you say you have heart and you care for our employees, the state employees the city employees, police, fire. Please don't think for 1 minute that everybody up here feels the exact same strength and level that you do. And it makes me a little upset for it to seem like it's negating the rest of us because we're not asking for this for them. It's not an us versus them. And I feel like I'm fairly new to this as well. I've only been doing this, 4 years now? I'm still learning. But I will tell you, every budget work program process that I've been through, everyone in here fights. And we've tried to find every penny that we can to make sure our city employees have not only get to keep their jobs, but they get increases. You'll find out. It's a big process where there's debate. It lasts days, so long that we have to come in at different times. So all of that to say, I don't really understand why. Corey, you're gonna have to help me understand why this even made it to the agenda. And two, if this is something that we need to talk about during the budget process, I'm all for it. But I'm also all I'm not really for stratifying city council members saying, oh, I'll take the allowance and I won't, because I feel that creates division among this group, and we are a very cohesive group, even when we don't agree. And I feel like I've disagreed with everybody here multiple times and people over there, but we are a very cohesive group. So when we start stratifying, one will take it and one won't, I feel like that creates division, and that's not anything I'm used to being a part of. So that's something else I feel like we need to discuss as well.
Yeah, I will say this. I think, Brad, if you'll confirm me, but any councilman can add anything to the agenda. It doesn't necessarily have to go through me, but I will, for future reference, please ask that any of you guys, if you have something that wants to go on the agenda in time past in history, it's always come through the mayor. Something wants to be added to the budget or to the meeting, we will call the mayor and say, hey, I feel like this needs to be discussed. If it's anywhere close to okay, we will add it to it, especially if there are 2 or 3 council members that are like, hey, we really need to do something about this, we will add it. So this is just for future reference for anybody, especially if you're new. But it always is, I don't want to be blindsided. You can't, from what I understand, you can't just say, no, we're not adding that too, because it's not written in the charter. So if you were to go to Steve and say, hey, I want this added to it, technically he can't tell you no, okay? But for future reference, out of respect for me, and trust me, I don't want to be that guy, but just so I know what's going on, so I can do my own research and say, hey, you know, we've had 3 people come to us now about this. Here's what's going on. What do I need to find out for these council members so that we're not lost and wondering what's going on? So if we could do that, if we can stick to that, that's the way it's always been. That's probably why you feel a little caught off guard. Don't choose me to do that.
Well, I'm just saying, I feel like it could have been, the response could have been, we talk about this during the budget work program. If we can't come to a consensus, then we discussed it here.
I
But
would have loved to discuss anything and everything with anyone on this board. I have had zero outreach from anyone on this board other than the mayor. This is not a jab at anybody. This was my fault. And it is exactly how it is written, a consideration. You don't consider it, then don't. That's merely what it is. It's not for an argument. It's not to be argumentative with anyone that's on here. It's not to say that I think that I only think this way. It is a discussion. It's just for consideration and possible, because those are the words, possible and consideration. I think everyone on here, because I was at the hands of this board while I worked, I was incredibly compensated. I think that I was appropriately compensated for the work that I did at the PD while I was here, so that absolutely comes from this board. I don't take anything from anyone here. I'm only speaking of myself. It's not to say no one, that I only think this way alone. Disappointment is a strong word, and it's not one that I would ever use, but concerned maybe that you weren't involved in it, but I didn't even have your contacts. So,
I'll get it to you.
So there's that. So it's, I don't take it back. I stand on my position. If June came, and you know, my thought is, I like to hit things head on. I like, hey, let's try to fix this now. And this was one of those ways that I thought that. Whatever thought that, if you think that it was from a negative side, it's absolutely not. It came from my entire heart to say, hey, this is how I think I can help. It's not to take nothing away from nobody. So that's what it is. It in no way was it to throw any negativity on anyone on this board. It was to absolutely think of a way that I could help. I get there are separate boards. There are about 1 million foundations and communities separate from this. So it's a little hard to keep track who gets to do what inside the city, which I'm learning day by day. But again, this was just my way to try to help out, so.
I don't think, and just like I tell you, you're gonna walk out of here and she won't think 2 cents about this, and she's gonna talk to you and smile in the town and not think anything about it. That's just the way we are. You have to know that. Something else that will help, you've been on me, I don't know how many times, hey, when are we gonna get that OML league training schedule? Well, a lot of that, you'll learn, like hitting this head on right now, the rest of this council knows we can't do a darn thing about any budget until you go through another budget session and realign a budget for next year. So like, when you come to me and it's like, hey, my road's terrible. That's great, I'll put it on the list for next budget year. We'll have to do a CIP project for that. We kind of know that, and you're at the mercy of not knowing that yet, but you'll get there. And that's just probably where a lot of that stems from. We know we can't do anything about some things right now. You just can't. I mean, unless you want to do a budget modification.
Well, I know that budget is June, July. I mean, again, this was consideration.
Yeah.
Think through it, let's talk about it. But I'm not sure if we talked about it. But anyway, that's what it is. So
Here's what I
won't
want
beat
you
a
to
dead horse,
understand.
we can move on.
You didn't do anything wrong, and we are not
Oh,
going to be
no,
upset
absolutely not.
that
No, no.
you even mentioned it.
No,
You'll
even
never hear
if-
that from any of us.
I
I'm just
can-
going to tell you.
I'll tell you this,
So-
even if someone on this board thought I did something wrong, you will not convince me that I did.
We wouldn't do that.
Hey, Brad, I kind of think maybe you ought to give a little disclaimer, talking about the meetings that we have outside of here, because, you know, you'd be better at that than me, you know, how we do the.
Work
like,
session.
Just for people now, so they know what we're talking about.
I think that we can do that. We'll do that outside this agenda item,
Yep.
but, yeah, good idea. I'll talk about it in the report. To cut the tension, if there's a motion and a second
There's not.
fails, it'll die. That's procedure, so.
So if we don't have a motion, that's what I was going to ask, if we have a motion at all.
I appreciate it, yeah, I appreciate the conversation.
No problem. All right, so we're going to take no action on that, correct?
If you don't have a motion,
Yeah, we're-
Is
followed
there a
by
mo-
a second.
Yeah, is there a motion?
There's no motion.
Okay, then the item agenda will die.
Yep, okay. All right, moving on to item 7, consideration and possible action regarding the funding sources for the wastewater treatment plant construction. Right.
Okay, I'm going to go through this quickly, but please, if you have questions, feel free to stop me, or we can drill down deeper. This is the same thing that I did last month. And I will start by saying, Chris, we did get it on a YouTube. It's on our website. I don't know if it's got a QR code. I think there was a problem with the URL having a QR code associated, so, but it is on our website. If anyone, especially public, wants to view this at a later time and say, no, what did he say? So I'm going to run through this real quick. How are we going to pay for the wastewater treatment plant? And our wastewater treatment plant, as you know, has been a combination of 1930s, 1950s, and 1970s technology. So once in a while, we would update it. And eventually, the Department of Environmental Quality at Oklahoma came in and said, no more Band-Aids. This is not going to fly. So that's where we began and really started to make a plan. Over time, that's happened probably over the last maybe 4 to 5 years that DEQ's really been pushing hard enough to make us realize that they're not going to let us wiggle much longer. So we did make a plan. And so what we did is we went to Wall Engineering. The council graciously allowed us to do some pre-engineering. And the Wall Engineering came back in 2020 and said, so the cost of your new plan is going to be $21 million. The council went out to our citizens and said, we need to pass a sales tax. And I should say that part of that planning leading up 4 or 5 years was to allow a half-cent sales tax to roll off. Okay, so we did not try to renew one of the half-cent sales taxes that we had in place. And instead, what we did is we asked the citizens to re-up that 1/2 that was already existing to pay to cover that $21 million cost. When we finally, it takes about 2 years of engineering. It's remarkable how much engineering goes into this plant. It's wow. But we wanted it to be state-of-the-art, and it took about 2 years to engineer this plant. When we finally got construction plans that were able to be bid out, when we received the bids, the cost of the plant was $42 million. So we went to the USDA, who was going to loan us the $21 million before, and said, hey, wow, our bids came in way high. And they said, we know it was going to. We've had many others that are taking out loans with us in the same boat. For example, Shawnee's original grant, or excuse me, their original cost was $51 million. When they opened their bids, it was $104 million. So everybody is in the same boat that's trying to upgrade their infrastructure. USDA was kind enough to come back and say, you know what, we'll go ahead and loan you the additional dollars, and we will give you a $2 million grant. Frankly, we were hoping that we were going to get about $20 million because that's what we felt like we could afford. They said, how about $2 million, because you guys do a good job of financial management and we think that you can afford the entire $44 million loan. So as a result, if you take into account that we've already got a half-cent sales tax in place, and how much the payment on a $44 million loan is going to be, we're short about $782,000 to be exact, $782,118. So that's really what we're targeting is how are we going to close that gap? Well, there are several different alternatives to try to make up a payment for $782,000. These are all of the things that I can think of that might be able to go into the formula that the city council ultimately is going to have to decide. There are staffing and operation cuts. There's deferrals on our ambulance, police vehicles, streets, water, and sewer line replacement projects. Sales tax increase of a quarter or an eighth cent would be in line, or an option. Additional sewer bill fees at at $21 per month, or $5 in sewer bill fees per month. And I just wanted to put that up there so that you know, for every $5 in the sewer bill, it raises about $189,000 a year. So I took the liberty of making options. And these are only options. You guys are going to make your own recipe, but I wanted to put some stuff up there that provoke your thoughts. Cut staff by $160,000, defer $200,000 of an annual allocation that you guys use in capital improvements such as streets improvement, water sewer projects, police, fire ambulance vehicles. So the next one would be to increase the sewer rates by $5 a month. And a 1/8 penny sales tax would raise about $229. So if you combined all of those things together, it would raise about $778,000. Option 2 is to have a deep staff cut. This would reduce staff by $360,000. We would defer $233,000 of capital improvements, increase the sewer bill by $5, and that raises the $782 that we need. Option 3, cut staff, a deep cut, $360,000, pass a 1/8 cent sales tax, and add $5 to the sewer bill, and that would bring you to $778,000. So again, these are only for thought-provoking, but we are to a point that we're 40% through the sewer plant. And Bake, what do you think on the construction ending date? When are we going to open this plant?
October 2026.
Okay, so we're not quite a year away, but by then, we have to have answered all of those questions and come up with our recipe of how are we going to make that payment. And I know that it's going to be uncomfortable as we go into the next budget year, and you guys are having to decide on capital improvement expenditures, and that thing is hanging over your head like a big gorilla ready to pounce, and we're going to have some answers. So, Sean got the QR code. So if you want to take a shot of that QR code and share it with everybody that you know, this will give them an idea of the things that you guys are wrestling with. Man, I hope that works, Sean. So we're going to have to, IT staff will be one of the cuts if that doesn't work. No, I'm joking. I can hear him laughing in there, so I just, I hated to do that back-to-back months, but I felt like with our new members joining us, I felt like this was something that was needed to be brought up again. And we look forward to you guys wrestling with this and coming up with the genius solutions that you always do. Obviously, we're going to continue to work through everybody that we can touch to try to get more grant funds to allocate toward it and buy our debt down. I would point out that the $2 million grant that we did get from the USDA for example, we went to Indian Health Services and said, hey, we would love to have some more help, believing that that's going to buy down the loan. And USDA said, pause that button, because for every grant dollar you get, it reduces the $2 million grant we gave you. So it's just a quandary, right? It's just a pickle. So we're going to get there. I know that we've got smart people working on it, and you guys are ready to roll. We're anxious to get in the budget sessions, work sessions, and solve problems. That's what we do.
All right. We're not taking any action on that item, so.
No.
Just discuss it. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to remarks and inquiries from mayor and city council members. I'll go ahead and let Ward 1 start. Larry Church. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot about item 8. That's my fault. All right. Current business, consideration and possible action by the council to elect one of its own to be styled president of the council, vice mayor, to preside at all meetings of the council in the absence of the mayor, in accordance with Chapter 2, City Council, Section 2-2-2, Council President of the City Code of Seminole, Oklahoma.
I'd like to put forward the name of my esteemed colleague from Ward 1, Ms. Dana Miller.
Thank you.
Second. You don't speak up. You get it.
We need to take a roll call, right?
I think we need a vote on this.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's roll.
Trace Cotter,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Sure, yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Scott Rossman,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Jolene Doucette,
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
Does that mean she can no longer say welcome to Ward 1? And she's representing everybody now, right?
That means she'll write my speeches.
Larry will have to do that.
Like I said before, Dana, your new meeting time is 6:40.
We'll negotiate that during the budget program.
All right, here we go. Now we'll move on to remarks and inquiries of mayor and council members. Let's go, Larry Church.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate y'all for being here. Our new members, welcome. When I first came, I had ideas from people who had lived in the city, and they had given me advice that wasn't well-founded. What I found is that we have, and I've been to lots and lots, I mean, I can't, there's probably very few people that have been to as many city council meetings around the state of Oklahoma as I have. I used to sell to cities. And this is the most efficiently ran city that I'm familiar with. We don't have fistfights at our meetings. We support one another. We try to help each other know. We try to help each other answer any question that we have. And I welcome you all aboard, and I'm glad to hear that we're starting off with some interesting debate. So anything that I can do to help to have insight into how the city's ran. I just can't say enough about our city staff, the leadership that they provide to the employees in our city and the things that they get done. I just don't know how y'all do it. I just don't. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your time to say that.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Dana Miller.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome to Ward 1, everyone. So I just want to congratulate you all on your seats and being here. It's amazing. Corey, congratulations on becoming mayor. I'm really excited. I will miss our former mayor. I wouldn't be sitting here now if it wasn't for him and that coupled with the passion that I have that I share with you all in serving our constituents. It's kept us going this long, so I just want to say welcome, and I'm always available if you need anything, and I will get you my cell number.
I have it.
Okay, good. So just really quickly, I don't have any constituent issues. I didn't have anyone reach out this past month, but I do want to mention the mural that went up in Ward 1. City Council, the Arts Council is just continually just putting out amazing stuff for our city. When I look at the plan, there is a section that is about promoting community pride with attractiveness of the city. And Arts Council is definitely making that happen. That mural is beautiful. When I drive past it, it makes me proud. Not only that is my ward, but that this is the city of Seminole. And so I'm really excited about that. So if anybody can let Jackie know that we all think she's doing, well, yeah, if you can, yeah, you guys are doing great. The Made in Oklahoma Festival was this past weekend. The weather wasn't that great, but still great turnout. Just thank you to the chamber and everyone who makes that happen as well. City cleanup, is that going on this week or was that last week? Does anybody know?
I don't know the answer to that.
22nd, okay, all right. So so that's coming up. If anybody wants to join up with me to make a team, I'd love to have a city council team. If anybody's interested? No? All right, we'll talk about it later. Okay, all right, Larry's on board, all right. We have the animal shelter staff has also been doing an amazing job. They've had a couple of pet adoption events. And again, these are folks, when we talk about the amazing city employees we have, these folks are, spending all day doing their job. They're at the shelter, they're making improvements, and then guess what? On the weekends, they're also doing pet adoption events. And they're doing a great job. If you'll pass that along, I couldn't be more proud of those folks over there. They're doing great. One thing that is also too in the plan is the walkability and connecting the city. I know that's been something that's been a real big issue for Ward 1. When I think about the folks who want to walk over to Johns Park, you have to cross that highway and people are coming in 50, 60, sometimes 70 miles an hour. So that's something that's always concerned me. People who are going across the street to go to the store, the grocery store, now, crossing the street to go over to the Boontown playground because it's a hop in place now. I really have been thinking a lot about walkability. So I reached out to Steve because I came across an AARP walk audit that really anybody can do. Any citizen can do it. It doesn't have to be a city council member or a city official. Anybody can order this kit from AARP, which I've done. And you literally get some worksheets and you gather a group of citizens who are interested in walkability as well. And you all just go, I've been calling it a walkabout. If anybody remembers Crocodile Dundee, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you go on a walk, you walk your city and you take notes. And then you score it, you put together this toolkit and you start trying to find ways to correct these issues that you find. So if anyone is interested in doing that with me, Arts Council, yes, I would love to have you guys. I'd like to have elders. I'd like to have kids. I've asked Steve to be on it. If any of the council members want to go on the walkabout with me, I think that would be great. But we all go as one big group and we just try to figure this out. So I think it would be great. If anybody's interested, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to include you on this. One last thing, Steve, so I don't want to take up too much. It's already 9:30, guys. Sorry. When the tornadoes hit, Ward 1, this side of town was hit. I feel like the whole town, it was affected. But there were a lot of structures, a lot of people who had their homes damaged. My home was damaged. Right afterwards, the days after, my family and I went door to door and checking on our neighbors and checking in the ward, people in the ward, asking, if they needed help, if we could connect them to services. And I will tell you, I came across, and it makes me really sad when I think about it, makes me upset actually. When I think about, I came across a couple of households that we didn't have electricity for about, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, somewhere around there. Came across an elderly couple whose home is no longer there, by the way. I believe it was just torn down because a tornado dropped a tree on it. But I talked to those elders, and they were saying that they didn't have electricity, and they were mostly concerned that their medicine was going bad because they couldn't keep it refrigerated. So we were kind of talking about getting them ice chests and ice. And I said, hey, just really quickly, what about your food? What can we do to get you some food? And one of them made a statement, and it was just as matter of factly. It wasn't even really how much that concern on their end, but that they didn't have very much food to begin with. So the food that was going bad in the refrigerator wasn't that much. That broke my heart, that an elderly couple in our town lives that close to the edge of food scarcity, of not having food available to them when they're hungry. That broke my heart. They're not the only ones. There was a few others that I came across at that time, and so it's just been weighing on me, and I'm just trying to find solutions. So fast forward to just last 6 months or so. The best thing I ever did was reach out to Steve and said, hey, I've got some traction on, because I'm talking to anyone and everyone who will listen to me about this story. How do we get a community market in Seminole like the one in Shawnee, where it's not a food pantry where they go in every now and then and the food's just given to them. They actually get to go in with dignity and shop for their food. Maybe we can connect them with services there for housing, electricity, utilities, things like that. Just a dream. Started talking to anyone who would listen to me, and came across the community market folks in Shawnee, and my friend at AARP, Michelle Sauer-John, connected me with Daniel. Started talking, found a couple other folks, and then I said, okay, Steve, here, I've got these people. What can you do with us? How do we get mobilized? And Steve brought in a few other folks. Tyler was here, Pam Robinson. So there's a group, and it's growing, and we're making some traction finally. And we're looking at the old Allen James Community Market for this to be housed at. It's still just very much a dream. If anybody's got $1 million that they want to give us to get this going, I appreciate it. But I just want to say, just put that out there that we're working on it. If you're interested, if you have some ideas or some resources that you think we can look at, please let me know. We'll take anything at this point. But again, I just want to say thank you to Steve. He's been great at, and I know he's super busy, but he's been really great at getting us all together. We have meeting. Oh, Larry's been there because it's in Ward 1. So we're really looking for ways to take this from a dream to actually making it a realization where the people in our community don't have to live with food scarcity. And that was also in the plan as well, that we talk about food scarcity and food desert in the plan. So I was really happy to see that. So just to make you all aware, if anyone's interested, again, please reach out to me or Steve, and we'll work on. We'll put you to work. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to Ward 2, John Kramer.
Just welcome these two.
All right.
Man of many words.
Jolene Doucette.
I first and foremost want to thank my ward for voting and getting out, all 20. I appreciate the board, listening to me and all these questions. I know a little more than what the board, gives me credit for. Just hang in there. I believe the next 2 years are gonna be quite fun, and, I hope to, get some things changed here and moving in a different direction. Not that it's negative, but I'd just like to see a different direction for the town, a little more involvement from the entire community, to get involved, with everything that we have going on here. My number one mission coming on to the council was our drainage issue. And before I even took oath, Steve had met with Mike Snyder and to try to come up with some kind of solution for that. So it's a win. A win is a win. mission's already accomplished on that, and I appreciate it. I've been here I moved here in 2018, and I've been hounding poor Miss Sharon's office about drainage and things like that, and what I can do to help my own place, and, so this is the most that's ever been done. Besides Baker coming out, a few years back to try to help out also, so, my mission is accomplished, so it's just gonna be fun from here on out. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Scott Rossman.
I want to say thank you for welcoming me. This is something new in my life. I used to work for the city, so it's a flip-flop. You know what I'm saying? I was there, I put your water lines in, Larry, one day, your new service line. Okay, so it's a flip-flop. I know the other side of what these guys do. I know what they have to go through. Now I'm part of the solution. So I know how hard it is. I've seen it. I've seen budget cuts. I've seen where we couldn't buy nothing. Every May, they shut it down. And when you're working for the water department, if you need something, you'll get it, but it has to be an emergency. I know that part. So I'm kind of going in. Plus, I got a lot of friends that are elected officials that give me heads up on what to do and what not to do. So, and I got a big supporting behind me. So, yeah, I just want to say I appreciate it, and I can't wait to start working and get this done.
All right. Thank you very much. Ward 4, Chris Hinckley.
Well, I want to welcome the two members too, but I also want to say that I'm a little bit offended, Steve.
Why is that?
Why? Well, she just got on council, she had flood issues, and you've already addressed those. And I seem to recall when I got on council, my big issue
Dang,
was
Jolene,
the people
God.
in my neighborhood were promised the little inlets to turn into our neighborhood because the traffic increased so much on that road, we all thought we were going to get rear-ended. And it's 20 years later, I still don't have those turn lanes. And back then, they were like $80,000. What do you think they cost now?
Oh,
$500,000?
cost 300 anyway.
You see
Now
that
it's cross.
time value of money?
Yeah,
They know what will to give the oil to, though.
yeah,
So anyway, that's all
Ouch.
I got.
yeah.
All right.
It's karma, because I'm having to go through that about 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Are you good?
Just reiterate, welcome aboard, guys and gals, new members. Just want to give thanks to Baker and his crew for a quick response today and his Scott testing the potential threat that we had. Hopefully that will turn into nothing. That's all I got.
All right. Just real quick, I know we've been here for quite some time, so congratulations. It's going to be awesome. Made Oklahoma, if you guys didn't get out, thanks for people who did come out and support. That was cool. It was an effort, but it was chilly. So a lot of people didn't show up, but if you wanted food, you could have got some food, and I got food. That's what I did, for sure. So, welcome to you guys. I'm glad to have you on board. It's gonna be great. You'll find these are great people to work with real quickly, so. But also, the golf, I'm really excited about the golf course. I think that's gonna be a great deal for us. So, it's fun. You can't discredit what's already been done, but just the new energy is gonna be awesome for the town. But, and then lastly, there is probably still some cake for real out in that foyer. So I'm not taking that home, so somebody needs to take it with you. So that's all I have.
That's your first decree. Everybody must take a piece of cake. That's good. Okay. Hey, welcome. Super excited to get to work, and let's make a difference. And welcome to the golden age of Seminole. There are so many exceptional things happening. Can't be more excited where we're at. Special shout out to my staff. They've upped the dress code. Everybody's got a jacket on or their most formal outfits for their police and fire. Hey, I want to bring some attention. Some of you may not get the newspaper, but it's really important. June the 10th, please take the time to educate yourself about the election that is happening June the 10th. We will be having an election on the liquor by the drink for Sundays. And if you noticed in our plan, one of the things is to be able to recruit new restaurants. friends, when I get contacts from restaurants and they ask about things like that, that's not first on their list because they make assumptions. And I have to disclose that, well, you're not able to do that on Sundays. That's a problem. You will never have a Chili's, will never have any of the restaurants that the public here would ask for with that kind of weight hanging around us. We're one of 7 counties that don't have it, and it's a little archaic, in my opinion. It's just an opinion. But the second thing is I haven't done enough research on my own to give a recommendation one way or the other. I just need to tell you that there is a sales tax on the June 10th election. That's a county-wide sales tax. I don't know if it's a renewal. I couldn't tell by the language in the ballot if it was a renewal or if it was in addition. If it's in addition, that will bring us above 10%. And this council has always been very cautious about going above that 10%. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Educate yourselves. Next Wednesday, not tomorrow, but a week from Wednesday, what's the date, Baker? April 16. We're going to have a public hearing here at the library at 6 p.m. just to talk about baseball lights. I know the Blake-All Fields is a big deal, especially this time of year when it's getting dark a little bit early. And everybody, not everybody, but many of the youth baseball parents are upset that why haven't we got these lights back up? We're going to try to get everybody the answers that they want at this public hearing next Wednesday at 6 p.m. And great information. I think everybody will leave there understanding, all right, now I get it. Man, the golf tournaments, the tennis tournaments, they're overwhelming our restaurants, and I love it. The Family Entertainment Center is making great progress. As you saw, you just got the red iron on the way. This thing's fixing to kick off, and we couldn't be more excited. Urban Renewal Authority, your Urban Renewal Authority has tentatively struck a deal that will give us most of the properties that are in abatement downtown. So I'm talking about Tennessee Joe's, everything, A-Nails will be torn down. So at the southeast corner of Main and Broadway will be taken down. It's structurally unsafe. Everything south and east of that will be torn down except for Kevin Hardiman's barber shop. So the plan ultimately, and you guys are going to have everything to do with it because that takes money, but we will have control of it for the first time ever. In addition, part of that solution is that Anna's must be dealt with. Anna's. So there's a building just to the north of Boomerang that was formerly Anna's Restaurant. So it attaches to Boomerang, and it's been in disrepair for quite some time. We've issued some tickets and things like that on it, but that will also be part of that, I'm going to call it a global solution. And I'm pretty excited that after we get the street resurfaced, after the sidewalks are redone, that we're going to come right behind that and dress it up even more. So super excited about that. If it pleases the council, I know Sharon, I couldn't see her, but I know that she was jumping out of her skin to talk about floodplain and flood issues. If it pleases the council, I'd love to have her back next month to kind of go back over that Meshack flood study and what we have on the tab and how much is that going to cost and things like that. She loves to geek out over that stuff, and I think we ought to let her. So if that's okay with you, Mayor. The foundation, the Seminole Community Foundation is wrapping it up. I don't know exactly how long they have left on the house on Franklin Drive that is going to be housing a tornado victim that lost most of everything they had. New construction, looks fantastic. If you have a chance, please go down Franklin Drive and look at it. It's really cool that a foundation based in Seminole has done this. And the plan is to be able to do more. So, what's the address, Sharon? They're looking at me like 1216, somewhere in there?
West side of Gordon on Franklin?
Yes, yep. South side, but it's west of west of Bourne. Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Brad?
So, welcome Jolene and Scott. I know you both. Jolene was employed as a police officer, and she was probably one of the best witnesses I ever had on the stand. Took care of business in city court, and fantastic officer. Scott, I know him and his wife, and you guys are going to bring a different dynamic because of the experience you have with city government at that level. And it's, to me, it just strengthens the council because of the different perspectives you bring. So anyway, you guys will go through your OML required training. I can tell you this, that's probably the best training for a new person that's unfamiliar to city government. I learned something. They're going to be a handout. This book, Jay knows, because I'm always stealing his, but the handout they give you is just, it's great. I use it. I'm always learning something from it.
I
because
stole yours.
If you got mine, that's where that thing went. But yeah, it's a handbook. It's really, really good. So it covers a lot. So I'd love to go with you because I learn something every time I go to those things. Anyway, I was charged with the duty of administering the oaths. I'm also supposed to put out this protocol for adjournment, following adjournment of the meeting. I don't know where this came up. Chief
Yeah, the
Withers.
protocols.
Yeah, Chief Withers will escort the mayor through the crowd to his vehicle. City clerk will announce the mayor's left the building. All remaining council members and the public will exit after the mayor's left, and the escort vehicle will move on an established route, which is confidential, escorted by the chief of police to his residence, and the call sign for the mayor is Seminole 1. Okay, got that? And that's all I got.
You're on the vice mayor. It's in the trunk.
Oh.
In the trunk.
Daniel rides in the bed of the truck. All right, anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.